Ground control to Major Tom.
Excuse me, Houston, we have a problem.
Are we sending lesbians into space again? Is that the problem?
Exactly. I'm so glad you understand.
Wasn't Barbarella a lesbians in space film?
Anyway, we should have a serious program today. We should be serious today.
Yeah.
We should be serious today?
Absolutely. The SHIT is hitting the fan all over the planet.
Well, then we can definitely deal with that and talk about that. I know there were some really funky, fucked up things that happened over the weekend, and I'd love to get right into them.
Well,
Are we
say
set
hello
ready
to
to
your
broadcast?
people. Yeah, say hello to your people.
Alrighty, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to American Freeman on the Freeman Radio Network. I'm your host, Don of the Family Perry. Good to have you with us. Welcome to a Monday afternoon. We have with us, as always, the president of the Americas chapter of the World Freeman Society of Stratios. Glad to have you with us. Hope you had a good weekend.
Hello.
With us is Mr. Wonderful Maggot himself, who you can find popping up in all kinds of strange places around the entire world. Glad to have you with us today. Hope your weekend went well.
You mean he hasn't pupated yet?
No.
Pardon?
And the eternal maggot.
He's still a maggot.
Yeah. just growing and scaring everybody, especially women, getting worried at the size of him.
Yeah, that's just that is just boasting, Maggot. That's boasting.
And of course, we have with us our
inches. And that's a very accurate size to be, whatever it was. Yeah, Alice in Wonderland. When you boast about his size, you remember that character there.
Boy, you sound like an American all of a sudden, boasting about your size.
Yeah, wow. They only started boasting about theirs in order to combat the Russians, who boasted in advance.
I see. We also have with us our favorite guest turned host, the Caribbean Critic. Good to have you with us as well.
Hi, guys.
Let's, unless somebody has something absolutely pertinent that they want to get to right away, Caribbean, you have already stated that the shit has hit the fan. Why don't you go ahead and start us off?
These this garbage with the flotilla and Israel and Iran and the Bilderberg Group and all these things, they're beyond our control. What isn't beyond our control is an effort to put this whole system of law and statute in its place. And one of the things I've just been talking to several of my other colleagues about is actually a proposal to mount a campaign to get all court cases, all police stations with audio-visual recording devices placed in all the courts, placed in all the police stations and everywhere, and that these audio-video recordings should be stored with an independent body such as in the UK, the Ombudsman's Office, and they keep a library of these things. And also another copy of the same thing, which is a sealed copy. And that sealed copy is sealed as soon as whatever the case or the incident in the police station or anything is complete. And then if there's any dispute, the sealed copy can be unsealed and compared with the library copy, the open library copy, to make sure that they are both still the same, not manipulated. And of course that will then give a review of everybody a chance to review, using the Ombudsman's copy, the whole case from beginning to end. And every case should be reviewed so that justice can be seen to be done. At the moment, we don't get justice. There is no justice at the moment.
Not when it's just us going to jail.
That's right.
Yeah, it's the only justice we get.
You know, things. For example, in a court, placing the judge, forcing the judge, as is your right to do, to read his oath into the record. And then, again, as is your right, he should read his bond number into the record. Failure to do either places him automatically on full commercial liability for whatever takes place in that court, but not just what takes place in that court, what's taken place previously by the police in the police station, because he's accepting their version of events, so he's got full commercial liability over that. Is he going to want to do that? Now, if he doesn't place his, as I say, he's personally liable for any commercial or what have you wrongdoing. He's actually personally liable, and he will have to fork out the money in compensation. But if he's put his bond in, of course, that then the bond will cover any commercial liability. But the thing is, if a lot of these bonds are leoned, then it's going to put the price up enormously for the guys who are actually paying the bonds. So it's a win-win situation what I'm trying to get in here, and if we can get enough people lobbying, don't care how you do it, lobbying for it, protesting that this should be done, everything. Just get enough people. I mean, even people that are not in the Freeman frame of mind can surely understand that, if you make a proper copy, then and a sealed copy and an open copy, then these things can be reviewed and made sure that actually the rules, procedures, laws, whatever, were actually followed. And if they weren't, then in that review you can then go straight back to an appeal. Gives everybody the right to appeal. So there you go. What do you think of that lot, lads?
I don't think they'll overdo it. They're criminals, and they love to play that game about the judge is having a bad day, and okay, that makes everything different. And having accountability for them, no, they'll never do that. They have to be removed. They've committed treason.
This is absolute. You see what that does? It will place on record his oath, and his fiduciary duty to uphold the law, not the freaking statute. To uphold the law, not statutes.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I'm just saying they'll never do it because they're insane.
Well, yeah, we know they're insane adolescents. Yeah, they've never grown up.
Yeah.
I think what Lenny's point is I totally agree with you, CC. I think that's a great idea, and it's a good thought process, and I think there are definitely commonwealths in which that can work and should work and can be tried. However, here in the U.S., they have such a long, drawn-out history of doing everything they can to pervert those, or to pervert every element of justice that could possibly be done whatsoever, that even if we were to successfully make sure that there's a sealed record somewhere that implicates and indicates that we have the opportunity and ability to always appeal everything, they'll just accidentally make sure that our copies get lost, destroyed, damaged, ruined, whatever else.
What that does then is whatever transpires from then on is clearly demonstrably even a situation where there's been collusion between two authorities, and of course not only was there collusion, but the original complaint was a fraud masquerading as a complaint because it had no validity, and therefore it cannot, without validity, it can't invoke the jurisdiction of any court. So it's like, if this is this case, then you can't have jurisdiction. If I can have that bit, then it invokes jurisdiction, but then we can see the errors and violations, and you're screwed anyway, Mr. Court, Mr. Judge. You know? So,
Well, but
you're probably right. Because that is the case, then they probably won't allow it, because you can get them from the back and the front.
Well, it's the same thing as the judges. If you file your affidavit and make sure it gets handed to the judge through the bailiff or the court clerk or whatever else, and you start referencing to the affidavit, and they cover it with paperwork, well, I don't see it. It doesn't make any difference whether it can actually be proven to exist in the courtroom or not.
No, no.
The judge has already reserved to themselves absolute decisive jurisdiction.
Yeah, well, you see, then, then what you would do then is read the affidavit into the court record yourself. You read it, and then hand it over. There you go. This is my sworn affidavit. I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And then just read the affidavit on the record. Boom. There's a copy of the the hard copy, the written copy. Judge, what are you going to do now?
And then make sure you ask the stenographer to repeat it back on the record.
Yes, repeat it back. They can't deny its existence. They will try all these tricks. We know they try these tricks. So you have to turn that trick on its head.
Right. Well, then they do things like dismiss the court, walk out, and when everyone files out and you stand up to try and file out, bailiffs come up to you and say, "Excuse me, you need to come with me." And they'll do it under protest and duress and never make any note or mark of it and put you into another courtroom, and then the judge will reconvene the court that you have now left and claim that you have been found guilty in absentia.
Yeah, but you see, as the judge is leaving the court, you read into the record that the captain is leaving the vessel.
Now, there's my question.
Give me a moment, I've got to go.
Okay.
The captain's leaving the vessel.
Right, obviously.
Temporarily detained.
Well, and that raises an interesting question, a legal issue. If the judge gets up and walks out of the court without adjourning court proceedings, then I think it definitely can be considered that the captain is leaving the vessel, the captain has abandoned the ship. But if they adjourn the court, does that hold true in the same way? Can you then turn around and reopen the court yourself? And that would be my only question as to how that would operate, because I've seen and heard stories of people who the judge has adjourned the court and they've been escorted to a different courtroom, and then the judge will come back into the original courtroom, reconvene the court, and find them guilty of absentia, which is ridiculous as far as I can tell. But that's not to say that they won't try that trick too.
Yeah, but you have a Mackenzie friend with you, and he stays in the original court, and they can't ask him to leave. You know, there are always ways round. If they can do that, you see. It's a fraud masquerading as a complaint.
Well, sure.
And then the court has no jurisdiction. But you can keep bringing them back to this, and and whatever you do, if you come up against the police and then subsequently the court, keep a running record of all the violations that they make. You know, they don't read you your rights, or until you get to they've arrested you, and before when you get to the police station, then they read you your rights. They don't read you your rights before, immediately.
Oh, the last time I was arrested, they never even read me my rights. Not even one.
Miranda rights. No. Well, that's a violation. That's the first violation. Yeah. If they don't take a written statement from you, that's another violation, because you've not put your version of events in. That's denying you. That's denying you.
So that's prejudice.
That's denying you your rights of remedy prior to the plea, because you're going to go to court. So they're now denying you your rights of remedy prior to the plea. if when you get into the court, you say to the judge, "I'm not here to plea," you know, I don't want to
I'm here
plead.
to
I've
declare
got
my innocence, or to state my innocence.
Then he's going to enter the plea, right, for you. He's going to say, "I've got to do that." So if he enters a plea on your behalf, you immediately object. Don't just let him do it. You say, "I object. You are depriving me of my rights and remedies prior to the plea." In other words, I haven't pleaded yet, and I've still got rights and remedies. If you enter that plea for me, you've denied that, because it takes those rights and remedies away from you as soon as that plea is entered. And he's entered it, not you.
Now, if the judge enters the plea for you, can you automatically claim him as fiduciary counsel? Because he's obviously
he's acting on your behalf. You can
to be acting upon your behalf. Can you then automatically claim that he has to be your fiduciary?
Well,
counsel?
he's already accepted, because he's made a plea on your behalf. He's accepted your fiduciary. I tell you what, that makes them. Once you've got that into the court record, they start wondering. And if they don't give the bond and bond number and read their oath into the record, the court isn't even legally established. Never mind lawfully established, it isn't legally established.
You see, I don't know how exactly the courts operate in places like England or Ireland or Barbados or Australia.
Operate
or
on
New Zealand or anything
almost.
like that. But here in the U.S., every time I've been in the court, the judge almost always, at some point, almost every time I've been sitting in a courtroom, the judge will sometimes, almost always, come out with a statement that this is my courtroom.
It isn't. You challenge that. Challenge that immediately. No, sir, it is not. Right? It is a de facto court, and here's the registration number. You are just an officer of this corporation. You don't own this court.
Yeah, then they'll point you to the thing that is posted outside the door to the entrance of the courtroom that has their name on it above the court number. And
it don't matter.
You've got a nice big huge
all that means is that that's their office. Doesn't mean they own it. That's their office. That's their office nameplate. There, right there and then in the front of the court, and you point that out. Your name is on the front of this court. This is your office. This is your office, but you don't own it. It's not your court. The court is the company's. He is just an officer of the court. It's like saying that Haywood, right, owns BP. He doesn't. He's just an officer of BP. He's the chief executive officer, but he's still only an officer. So,
right,
yeah.
He's held in trust by the board of the shareholders and everything else.
Yes,
Sure.
But the court is also held in trust by the board and the shareholders. And
Which
you're not
really is represented by all of us.
Well, no, you're not the shareholders. No, you're not the shareholders, you see. This is the thing. You are not the shareholders. This court is incorporated in say, Delaware or wherever it is. But the shareholders is the corporation of the US, the US corporation, because it's a wholly owned subsidiary of the US.
Okay.
So, don't forget, these people are so corrupt and lying bitches. Everything they do and say is a corruption and illusion of the truth. Everything.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There is no effort at all in today's de facto courts to dispense justice or obtain truth. That's not their role. Their role now is to collect revenue and sentence people. That's it. That's their role. That's what they do. And
I spent part of my weekend talking to some people, or rather listening to some people talking about renewing their driver's licenses and renewing their registration on their vehicles and complaining about having to spend the money on it. And I tried to tell them that they didn't have to, and they just told me I was a conspiracy theorist and just walked away from me. But yeah, that whole collecting revenue part is just
if you want.
mind-blowing.
The thing is, the thing is, if you want to bring the system down, you've got to persuade these people that participating in the system is only helpful. If a significant number of people refuse to participate, the whole system, the whole pack of cards just collapses.
Yeah, until they decide that they're going to declare martial law and send the military against us.
Oh, by the way, did you hear the latest news? Mr. Obama is about to sign a treaty with the UN. Right?
No, I didn't hear this news. I haven't seen
Sign
any of
a
that.
treaty with the UN banning handguns.
Woo!
And a US treaty with another nation or the UN supersedes the Constitution, so they can come round then and take all your handguns off you.
Here we go. Globalists celebrate Obama's support for small arms ban that many fear could be used for mass gun grab as part of elite agenda to Europeanize the United States. The first thing we do is take away all their guns.
Yep, there you go. That's so.
Trying to do that for the last 40 years.
I've just alerted you, right?
Just ridiculous. All the more reason that we should have guns and be able to engage in conflict. Only
Well,
when they
I would rather not engage in conflict. What I would rather engage in is bringing these criminal lawyers and judges and court systems to book, bringing them down.
Well,
bringing them down on a lawful basis.
Well, unfortunately, the lawful basis is that treason against the people of the treason against your oath is punishable by death.
You failed to uphold your fiduciary duty to your oath.
You mean all that money I gave to Jews for the preservation of firearms didn't help?
Yeah.
The JPFO?
Unfortunately.
Oh, man. I can't believe it.
No, they'll probably get an exclusion. As long as you prove you're genuine kosherly Jew.
Oh, okay. I'm not, though.
So we're looking
change your name.
We are looking at a lot.
I'll change my name to Antonoive. Not Antoleve, Antonoive.
That might help you, but I wouldn't hold my breath for it.
Head of the Church of Shaitan.
Veteran reporter. Speaking of Israel, a veteran reporter retires over Israel comments. Correspondent Helen Thomas began covering the White House in 1960. Veteran White House reporter Helen Thomas is retiring in the wake of controversial comments she made about Israel. Hearst News Service, for which Thomas is a columnist, reported her retirement announcement Monday. It's effective immediately. Thomas has apologized for the comments, forced to, which were captured on video by an interviewer for the website RabbiLive.com. I wonder why they were only captured by RabbiLive.com. On the May 27th video, Thomas says Israelis should get the hell out of Palestine, suggesting they go to Germany, Poland, or the U.S.
Oh, I thought that was a spin. I didn't realize that was the first. That was the first reporter. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Scary.
Yeah, 89 years old. Been in service with the U.S. Press International since '43, covering the White House since 1960.
No. I mean, the RabbiLive.com was the one who captured it.
Yeah.
That was a shock. I thought that was someone spinning her. I couldn't find the original, but that was it. That was the original.
Yeah. It's the only place where it's available, apparently. Everything else is hearsay off of it. And then, of course, she has to apologize before she can retire, because otherwise they would deny her retirement benefits through the Israeli-controlled banks. Just ridiculous. What a weird weekend. So, I like your plan and I like your idea, CC. I think it would be great if we could create the elements that would force the courts to have to respond appropriately, but I think all they're going to do is just try to find another way to get around it, or they'll, of course, because they're all involved with the media, even if you went out and were like, look, see how they screwed this up, see how they screwed this up, see how they screwed this up, the media would just paint whoever did it as an anti-American, pro-fascist terrorist looking to destroy the American system of free and open government. And people would go, somebody's a terrorist? We gotta shut this down. And the whole thing would just get taken completely off base and destroyed. And I hate to be that negative about it, but I've been watching enough now of what they actually do here in the U.S., and I've sat in my own trials and courtrooms and been comparing how they handle things versus how they should be handling things, and they're just so incredibly arrogant here in the United States. They think that nothing can touch them. And then we get all these wonderful TV shows like Law and Order and stuff like that, in which the judge, whenever the judge is shown, they're always talking to the lawyers, and of course, because they're all employees of the same company, and the judge is slightly higher than the lawyers in that same company, the lawyers have to do what the judge says, and it totally perverts justice, and people go, oh, it's so good, we've got smart judges.
I went out.
Yeah, but where are you going to go?
No, I went out.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you a bit. But I don't think we can get out. I think we only have one choice and one option, and that's to do everything we can to fight the system.
Are they covering Bilderberg out loud in The Guardian? Is that true? Or is that something wrong with my app here? Bilderberg 2010?
Well, it started, doesn't it?
I mean, it's like out in public here. They have a Bilderberg section.
Okay. Might do.
On my iPhone app here.
Sir Paul McCartney. My God.
Can we trade the other two Beatles in? I mean, did we get
Please.
John back at least or something?
Well, the intelligent one of the Beatles, John, was shot probably because he was intelligent.
He was shot by Bush's business partner's Bush's business partner's son shot Reagan, but another one of their MK Ultra people from the same World Vision missionaries that Hinckley owned shot John Lennon to test the mechanism out.
So, another scumbag.
So Bush is responsible for killing John Lennon. Hinckley Sr. was a direct business partner.
And I'm sorry I called, but the thought just occurred.
Wow, The Guardian actually has some pretty good articles on the Bilderberg.
It's strange. I mean, they're covering it out loud now.
Right, and they're actually dealing with it. And I mean, there's even an article here, Bilderberg 2010, Why the Protesters Are Your Very Best Friends. I'm kind of impressed. Wow. Good for them.
There used to be a total news blackout on it. It was just Jim Tucker.
Forget all I've said. Please spare me no will.
Huh.
They used to act
Bilderberg
like Jim Tucker was
2010.
completely insane. He was right.
Why the Sorry, go ahead.
They used to act like Jim Tucker was nuts. He was right.
Sure. Well, it's you can find this on some of Alex Jones' videos. You can find it on some of Berman's videos. You can find it on some other people's videos and stuff. But they actually pulled. There was a guy who was on Fox News. I want to say it was 2009, might have been 2008, in which this high-ranking official in Washington, whatever, was on this one news program, and he made the comment where, 10, 15, 20 years ago, all these people came out and said that this stuff was going to happen, and we all went, yeah, you're just a bunch of conspiracy theorists, and that's crazy, and that could never happen. And now it turns out that they were right.
Yep.
And
Amazing.
they didn't edit it or cut it. It was a live broadcast. It actually happened. Somebody claimed on a major media network that conspiracy theorists, which we all know are mostly conspiracy factualists, were right. So good. I'm glad that people are actually paying attention and reporting it real.
Keeping it real.
I went out. I went out.
I protest.
I do more than protest.
I'm here under duress. I want out.
I do more than protest. I protest, and I'm planning to keep you from ever being able to put me under duress. I'm tired of it. Because even if you put me under duress, and I have you mention that I'm only here under protest and duress, you're still going to figure out some way to screw me. They've done it hundreds of times in the past. There's got to be a solution here that reminds them that their place is at the bottom of the tier, not at the top.
Oh dear.
Well, there has to be. I mean, they've been usurping power for so long, they forgot where it came from.
Yeah, it always came from the people.
Right, and it switched around so much that now they believe that the power was theirs in the first place, and the people are their subjects.
Well, this guy didn't think so. Irish citizen, ex-US Marine Kenneth O'Keefe disarmed 2 Israeli commandos to stop the killings on the Marmara. After seeing passengers shot at close range, he grabbed the weapons to stop the killing. And then the Israelis had beat the crap out of the lad after they'd subdued him. But he...
Well, sure, they had to.
Yeah.
God forbid they be wrong.
Kenneth O'Keefe disarmed 2 Israeli commandos to stop the killings on the Mavi Marmara. I will watch the video. Israel is a lunatic state and deliberately kills civilians. Well, they had a list with photographs with them of the ones they were to assassinate.
Really? Where are you pulling this information from? I'd love to see it.
From a Israeli parliament Knesset member who was on the boat, who obtained one of the lists. From one of the commandos, probably one of the commandos that this guy O'Keefe subdued.
Right.
But I don't know. I mean, but he said he obtained this list with photos. Obviously, when it was stuck in Cyprus for those 2 days, having its cargo inspected, I'm sure Mossad infiltrated on board and provided the lists and the photographs. Excuse me. So they knew who they were after.
Just, the hard part is that I want to believe it's just, and think that it's ridiculous and go, God, that's just so stupid. How could this really happen? And then after having spent as much time looking into this, it almost becomes second nature to realize that when you pull up any real news information, it's always going to be the same people every single time doing the exact same types of things, and it's going to get perverted. Like the raids on that Israel did on the ships got almost no major media press coverage whatsoever. Brief mentions here and there, just tiny little things, little blurbs, little sound bites, little clips, and all being produced and done by Israeli-controlled and Anti-Defamation League.
Cynthia McKinney did the same thing.
There's suggestion here. There is a suggestion on that on a site called Global Research Center, that Rahm Emanuel was involved with Netanyahu in the planning of this attack on the Marmara. Just as they were involved in the attack on the Shabra and Shatila refugee camps where a massacre took place of Palestinians. It looks worse and worse, but the people are just not accepting it. At least, there's been serious questions raised by the European Parliament about their troops in Afghanistan being used to protect the poppy fields. Now there's a nice little story.
Right.
And of course, if you protect the poppy fields, you're protecting the supply of heroin and opium into Europe and America and Russia. So basically, our armed forces are protecting the drug supplies. How fucking marvelous! Excuse my French.
Well, geez, we've known that for forever. I mean, America has been protecting drug supplies for decades. I mean, that's how cocaine exploded in the U.S. That's how heroin keeps exploding in the U.S. I mean, the CIA was funneling things in from Central and South America through Arkansas. I mean, Lenny can tell you all about that.
Apparently now there's evidence to show that the drugs out of Afghanistan are being channeled through the former Serbian province of Kosovo.
Oh, the last place that we decided to put our hands into and make sure that we have a constant control over.
Yep. So it's looking...
Yay. America, land of the free and home of the controlled.
American forces gun down Palestinian fishermen.
Don't buy it.
I thought it was land of the fee, home of the slave.
Oh, I'm sorry.
U.S. cluster bombs being used in Yemen. And then they say the Iranians are supporters of terrorism. Where did they get the front? They got more front than bloody Walmart.
Sure. I have to.
But people aren't. But all this is feeding into this. People are just getting so sick of it. They're feeding into this, if you like, what is generally termed the awakening of people to the actual situation as it sits on the ground, and the Bilderberg group, which is always behind this crap. Appears to be getting worried because so many of their placemen are being voted out of office in elections. They are beginning to panic.
Yeah, exactly. For example, the details of a conversation during just before the current Bilderberg conference were revealed in Charlie Skelton's latest Bilderberg blog for the Guardian website, of all places. Apparently, during a Council on Foreign Relations meeting in Montreal last month, prominent Bilderberg member Brzezinski lectured fellow elitists about how the perils of a, quote, global political awakening, end quote, were threatening to derail the move towards a one-world government.
Well, they're already 10 years behind schedule. This one-world government and one-world currency, apparently, according to sources, should have been coming into effect in the year 2000.
Oh, well, they're even further behind schedules than that. I mean, they had the Patriot Act written here in the U.S. Before the Oklahoma City bombings. And before before 9/11, and before the Columbine shootings. And, I mean, they've been trying to do everything they can for decades and decades now to get this legislation put in and ramrodded through. They have to.
It's closed. Yeah.
Quote, for the first time in all of human history, mankind is politically awakened. Quick pause here. For the first time? Or maybe the first time that's really starting to threaten you. Unpause. That's a total new reality. It has not been so for most of human history, end quote, said Brzezinski, adding that people had become, quote, consciously aware of global inequities, inequalities, lack of respect, and exploitation.
Isn't he just right? Yes, we are. And we have been for some time.
When did we vote for him? Is he an elected official?
Brzezinski?
Never.
We voted for him when Carter got elected.
Oh yeah, and then his puppet Obama. I forgot. We never voted for him though.
Well, it's like people didn't vote for Bush Jr. They were just voting for Bush Sr. again and didn't realize it.
Well, Bush Sr. had 4 terms, didn't he?
He had 7 terms.
7.
Yep. Both of Reagan's.
Yeah.
His own.
And
both
of course,
Clinton's.
yeah.
And Clinton was his puppet too.
And both of his sons.
Both of young George Walker.
Yeah.
Baby Bush.
Yep. And that's just the terms that he had control over the executive branch directly. You trace it back to his role as the director of the CIA. I mean, he's been influencing national policy and world politics in Washington longer than that.
Well, we can all cheer because it won't be long before he's pushing up daisies.
Knock on wood. Too bad his influence won't die out with him gone.
We're gonna fix that.
Damn right. Damn right.
Stop it.
Well, his plans for the New World Order seem to be being pushed back and back and back.
I went out.
Yeah, I want out too.
You see, I no longer want out. I want them out. Getting out just means that I don't have to deal with it anymore. Getting them out means none of us do.
Right.
I want them out. Which, of course, is what we all keep trying to work for. Ah, well. No one's given me the keys to the universe yet, and I doubt they ever will, because if they did, I would just destroy them. Then no one gets it. Maggot, I hope you know how to recycle and change out all of your garbage properly.
Yeah.
Because apparently, bin police are planning to fine people £1,000 if they fail to recycle their rubbish.
Huh?
The pilot scheme would involve hiring 2 enforcement officers at a cost of £45,000. So, of course, they have to justify that.
Yeah.
If the plan is given the green light on Thursday, then the officers would be used to rummage through black bin bags of residents who fail to put out recycling boxes.
Huh.
They could then hand out fines ranging from £75 to £1,000 if they uncover any recyclable paper, cans, or glass. So now they're going to go through your trash.
They probably are already. I suppose so.
They only go through my trash if I toss it away in somebody else's dumpster. People get really mad if I toss my trash in their dumpster. But I can't imagine them coming to it. At least here in the U.S., as long as your trash is up, still on private property, they can't do anything about it. It's only when you move it all the way out to the street and place it on their easements that it becomes technically public property and anyone can go through it if they want. But I don't know, because if I've ever gone down the street and started picking through somebody's trash, I'm pretty sure the cops would arrest me.
Yeah.
Or try to, at any rate. Of course, now they can fine you and give you all kinds of wonderful
Maybe you want to eat the garbage, though.
Yeah.
recycling. Yeah. Well, don't worry, though, Maggot, because vouchers for M&S, McDonald's, Costa Coffee, Coca-Cola, and Cineworld worth up to 135 pounds are being used to reward people who fill the recycling bins in the Royal Boroughs of Windsor, Maidenhead, and other places. So, as long as you go ahead and do it, you get free vouchers for things that will kill you and rot your brain.
Yeah. Sounds great.
So, at least you should be fine there.
It's always better to have vouchers than real money, of course.
Right. Got to be vouchers. Couldn't give you real money like gold bullion.
No.
Silver notes. No.
If they just RFID tag everything, then they'll know exactly who threw away what and what they did with everything. And trace it all the way to the landfill.
Yeah.
And then if you threw that Coca-Cola can out on the side of the road, then some federal prisoner will pick it up with a stick, and then they'll know it was your can.
Yeah.
Right, because it's tracing back to that voucher.
If that fails, they can always fingerprint it or something. Get some fake fingerprints on it.
You see, I'd get the vouchers, scan them in, and doctor them. Redact them for stock in the company. This voucher is no longer worth one can of Coke. It's now worth 7,500 shares. And go take it back in and redeem it. Then take that money and buy an ad that talks about how awful Coca-Cola is for you.
Who lives in a fantasy world now?
Just me. I like my fantasy world. It makes me happy. So.
I went out.
Well, and we're trying to help you get there. Any news back from the county or the health officials or anything else after their...
Nothing.
So once you called the county and left a message that you do not consent...
And I don't wish to contract with them.
They have not returned your phone call?
They left me another message, but I hope they don't knock again.
Okay, well, I guess that was my main question. Have they tried to stop by again?
No. I'll play you the message after the show. I don't know if to do with it. I don't think they're coming back.
They certainly don't seem to have any real grounding or standing upon which to do so.
No, I don't have another notice.
So apparently Hungary's been added to the list of countries facing massive imminent debt and needs to be taken over. Japan's stock markets have tanked so far.
Does that help the acronym? They had like pigs. If you add an H, that doesn't help though. We're trying to win at Scrabble here.
Pigs. Portugal, Ireland, Spain, Greece. Portugal, Ireland, Greece, Spain.
Yeah, so there's no H.
Portugal,
H
Italy, Greece, Spain.
But I think they're looking for a triple word
H
score.
for Hungary, and then I for Ireland, and then you just need T for Turkey, and you got pig shit.
Yeah, but no, it should be piggies. Portugal, Ireland, Greece, Italy, and Spain. Piggies.
Oh, I could think of many other letters that would fit in there, but they'd all have to be silent. Maybe it's a silent H.
With all their backing, they don't care what goes on around. In their eyes, there's something lacking. What they need's a damn good whacking. I'm trying to remember all the words.
What's that? What to?
To piggies.
Oh, okay.
working class hero.
Well, apparently, your famous president now has given the go-ahead for commercial whaling to begin.
Whoa. Who did you say? My president?
He's not the president.
I didn't vote for him.
That's not the problem. He's not eligible.
Well, unfortunately, you're de facto president.
The de facto dictator, okay. Very.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So he is apparently has reneged on another one of his promises.
So that's what, 285 now?
Well, I mean, to say he was a do-nothing president, he seems to be doing everything wrong.
Which reminds me, I've got a file to share with you guys. I found a thing on Consen this weekend that's all of Barry's executive orders that he signed. And they're really, really, really disturbing. And I want to send them all out to you guys so you can see them as soon as I can find where I've got them saved on my computer. Because he's just evil. Just evil. So which promise did he renege on this time?
On the whaling. On the protection of the environment. He's done a 180.
Yeah, well, he's done that twice now in the last month and a half. He was going to sign into legislation to allow for offshore drilling, and then the BP oil rig had its explosion, and now he's signed, now he's working at trying to ban any more offshore drilling. So how can you believe anything he says anymore?
Well, apparently, not only is he banning offshore drilling, he's banning offshore oil production. He's closing everything down, for goodness sake. They're deliberately they're ramping up the oil production elsewhere so you don't see a shortage, and keeps the gas prices down through the summer period until after the election. Then you watch oil prices rocket after the election.
Oh, jeez.
You know, this, you can see, it's so obvious, the plans, you can see them a mile away if you got your head screwed on.
Right. Well, hopefully.
Take
I think what happens is that...
Take avoiding action now. Put a tank in your backyard and 500-gallon delivery of gas.
Or learn how to live without.
No more austerity for us. It's austerity for them. They need to sit in jail cells till their trials start. We should have everything we want. They need to sit in a prison cell.
I want out of here.
I think we've established
it's always
that.
austerity for us and go live in the woods and everything else. No more. I'm not abandoning the field.
You've
Well,
decided,
yeah, but I don't need oil. Not really.
You've decided not to abandon the field of battle then.
No.
You've decided
sticking
to
around.
resist.
That's
You've
right.
decided to resist.
Yeah, we left Asia Minor in 1922 to see how well that went. Now I'm not leaving here.
Right.
I'm standing my ground now.
This is definitely a line in the sand, is it?
Well, it's the only place left. I mean, where am I going to go? Indonesia?
Yeah, that is true.
We left in the last century. Now we're sticking here.
Certainly going to be difficult to go anywhere else. I got a friend of mine who's been trying to convinced that what he can do is just buy an island in the Philippines.
Oh, you're right.
And go there and just live and be fine for the rest of his life, and that's all he has to worry about.
Did you mention it's a new world order?
just mention to him, is that in the, ask him if that is in the Northern Hemisphere, which I believe it is. And the coming war will sort of screw the Northern Hemisphere big style.
Yeah, I've been trying to express to him that isn't going to work, but he still seems completely convinced by it.
You did stress the world part, new world order?
Yeah, I did, but he still believes that as long as it's a small little island, it can just be left alone.
Yeah, they'll never check the whole world, huh?
Right.
any little province of freedom, they were gonna, they're gonna leave it alone because they're very kind. These people, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
And we can trust them.
They might forget to look. Like hide Philippines underneath a blanket.
That wouldn't only be the first place they look, don't you think? Little islands?
No, God no. They wouldn't look there at all.
That'd be the first place they'll go. Satellites and all that stuff, that's all they do all day. How many intelligence agencies do we have in the United States?
14 or something.
35.
Is it really 35?
We have 35 just ours.
147.
147?
Different agencies.
United States government intelligence agencies? 140?
147.
I thought we had 35.
No. You've got all sorts of branches of various, which are separate and autonomous. They tried to bring them all together. That's why they screwed up on 9/11, because the agencies weren't talking to each other. Garbage. They've been so fragmented now. A security agency. You've got like TSA, NSA. All these little branches.
TSAs are new. That's since 9/11.
Yeah. Then you got FEMA. You got so many different agencies.
Oh my
that
God.
Been,
35 was supposed to shock you. At 140, we're in big trouble. How do I know I'm not working for one of them? Oh wait, I'm not. I know I'm not. Okay.
Well, of course. Maybe.
No, I'm not.
Got barcode.
The only.
I hope and
way
believe you're not.
The only
You
way
could really
to know.
compromise this whole show if you were.
I know.
The only way to know you're not working for them is to not work.
Oh, jeez. Now you've hamstringed everything.
Well, just imagine. You may be self-employed, but then you're employed by a little company to come and sort their computers out, and they're an agency. Oh dear, you're working for them.
No, I know who my clients are.
That was just an example. But if you're working, you must be working for them.
Oh.
Well, I think if you're earning debt notes at some level, you're working for them. If you're a member of Facebook, you're working for them. MySpace, you're working for them. Doesn't really make any difference. I think the problem is that they've infiltrated into absolutely every level of society at some point that it's almost impossible to get away from their information gathering. The difference is whether you're going to spend the whole rest of your life worried about the information they gather, or let them gather whatever information they can, because they can't destroy you if you're telling the truth. They can try. They can do everything they want to and work as hard as they can, but if you're telling the truth, they can't really destroy you. They may kill you, but you can't ever stop truth. I've tried.
I went out.
Oh, you've changed your mind again, Lenny.
He's got the heart of a warrior.
I had this theory maybe that Pakistan was really where the freedom was, and they were lying to us, and that's what the good cable was and the good internet. No, Pakistan.
Could be.
Pakistan's where freedom is, huh?
Yeah, the cradle of freedom.
Well,
No, I can't abandon the field. I don't know. I just want to, every time you tell me this stuff, I want to go. There's nowhere to go, though.
I know there is a place to go. Of course there is. It's called Mars. Oops, they're going there soon. They're on the way there soon.
Yeah. But it won't be NASA, it'll be SpaceX.
Right.
Yeah.
And Virgin Airlines will be providing all of the shuttles.
SpaceX.
SpaceX. Like Spax. It's worse. Specsavers. Yeah, is SPAC, do you know what SPAC is? It's slang for spastic over here. The SPAC.
Is it a spanner in the works?
It can be an abbreviation, I suppose, of that. If the X is a spanner.
They really have this? I'm sorry, guys. I'm looking at something real quick while you were talking. Brain scans can be used to snoop on thoughts. This is from the Telegraph. Researchers have concerns that brain scans already used in some death row trials in the U.S. could be used by British police to determine whether a suspect is lying or has planned a crime they have yet to commit.
Pre-crime.
Does that really exist here? Hold on.
Yes, it was a machine derived from the magnetic resonance scanner, which scans the brain and watches the functions of the brain. And when questions are asked, depends which part of the brain you're using, whether you're making it up or whether you're telling the truth or you're holding shit back. So there you go. Yeah, the initial research was done in Cambridge, on the Cambridge Science Park, in the UK. Nice of us, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's great.
Pre-crime. That's a lovely one, that, isn't it?
Isn't that the subject of a Philip K. Dick story?
Mm-hmm.
iRobot?
Minority Report.
Minority Report. That's it. Yep.
iRobot. It's Isaac Asimov.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
Isaac cut him off.
Yeah, Isaac Asimov.
Stop it.
I just can't avoid, the introduction of these sexual connotations. It's just one of those things.
Well, without enough women in the truth movement, we do wind up falling into some rather.
Well, unfortunately, there are
discussions.
Yeah, well, there are very few of the feminine gender in this movement.
That's why I think that after we solve this problem, we should make sure they get absolutely no benefits, absolutely nothing. Make them live outside.
Well,
if we save the world, they don't get crap. I mean, if they, the stuff they pull about, we can't talk about it and all this stuff, they're out. I don't think they should get electricity when this is over.
No, I mean, you give people a choice. You can either live under common law or you can live under this bullshit statute, whichever you want to do. And I think, the female gender should be banned to the statute.
But I mean, these women that couldn't help us in any possible way, couldn't be part of the truth movement, I don't know, I just don't see them being free. I don't see them getting any benefits from this.
I guess I'm going to reserve judgment on that idea until I've had more time to think about it.
The problem it is on under any system of religion that we have on the planet at the moment, the female of the species is a second-class citizen, and that can't be right.
Yeah, but having failed to help us with the truth movement, I think that that should be increased. They should be held in cages or something.
Well, I definitely think that, if you're not with us, you must obviously be against us.
Right, they're so turned against us.
Remains true. But I think that what really needs to be done then is an attempt to galvanize on our part the...
No, I'm not selling anymore. Screw them. They're out.
I'm not saying sell. I'm saying we have an opportunity to attempt to galvanize their
I want
efforts
nothing
and
to
their
do with
everything
zinc. I want nothing to do with zinc or lead plating. I refuse.
else. Well, thank you for using the literal denotation of the word. I appreciate it.
Good, you're gonna be Robocop.
I do not consent.
Man, I'm gonna have to send you guys notices of understandings.
You see, I mean, I think we should start calling all policemen Judge Dredd.
Yeah. Judge Dork.
Judge Dredd.
Yeah,
What's
we
your
gotta-
name?
we gotta start rounding
What's
them
your
up,
name? Rambo? Oh, what? Are you Rambo?
Well, they all think they are.
Yeah, but have you not noticed the number of should we say law enforcement officers are obese to the point of yeah? You know,
Oh, sure. What happened to physical training for these people?
well, if you run down the street, there's no chance they're going to catch you, is there? That's a good point. That's a good.
Well,
They
that's
need
why
to
they
learn how
fostered
to,
that whole wearing your pants around your kneecaps.
As long as they can throw tasers, they probably could start doing lessons on how to throw a taser.
Right, so that you can only just run so far, so fast before they fire tasers at you.
Yeah, like a taser shuriken or something. Just point it at you and it fires little taser bullets. I think they already have those, don't they?
Well, that's what they did to the
Taser guns.
kid
No, not
in
those-
Philadelphia here a couple weeks back who
Yeah.
jumped down onto the baseball field and was running across the field. They fired a taser at him that launches the actual prongs out attached to wires and stuff so they could take him down from a distance. I think they did that to the guy in Canada who wound up dying.
No, but there's a little bullet about the same size as of a shotgun cartridge now that they fire, and it's self-contained taser. It's a self-contained
Yeah, that's
taser.
what I was thinking.
Really?
Yeah. The only problem with that, of course, is there's serious concerns of its accuracy, and it might hit some poor bugger in the eye and zap, 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 and you're dead. At the worst, at the best, you're blind.
Yeah, at the best. If it doesn't fry out your central cortex.
Exactly, the frontal lobe. There you go.
Right.
So, these things are being... Actually, the British police have asked for trials on this unit. Good grief.
On a slightly related topic, there was here in Michigan, in the Detroit area, a couple weeks ago, in which some reality TV show was filming an episode of like Cops or whatever, and this cop discharged their firearm supposedly accidentally, and it went into the household and struck an 8-year-old girl while she was sleeping and killed her instantly.
Yeah, sleeping on the sofa, shot her in the neck.
Yeah,
Right.
I think we did that a few weeks back.
We talked about this just briefly. The police officer was put on suspension. There's an ongoing investigation and everything else, blah, blah, blah. Well, less than a week ago,
They're now
there was
banning...
a guy in Detroit being carjacked. And while being carjacked, he pulled out a handgun to defend himself and shot at the person trying to carjack him. Missed. The bullet went into a house and struck someone in the arm, and they're charging the guy who was being carjacked with assault. So when a cop does it and kills an 8-year-old girl, it's just he's put on suspension. But when somebody tries to defend themselves and accidentally wounds somebody, it's assault.
That's rubbing a salt in the wounds, isn't it?
But I mean, that's exactly it. If you got tasered by one of those shotgun things and it hit you in the eye and fried out your cornea, you'd be like, well, you must have done something to have been tasered. Sorry it happened. We're going to suspend the officer for 2 weeks without pay. sorry it happened, but you shouldn't have been doing something, you get tasered. If I had one of those things and shot at somebody and missed them and hit an innocent bystander, I'd be in jail.
Unfortunately, that happens all the time.
Right?
On the part of our police forces.
Well, this is
And
what
they
you
get
have to
away with
understand
it.
about how they operate here in the U.S. They don't get any repercussions for when they act like complete and utter total morons. It's like the cops in West Virginia who beat, assaulted, hospitalized, and nearly killed the University of Virginia student back in March. All they did was suspend a couple officers, promised to do an investigation, and 4 days later the whole thing disappeared from any news whatsoever. But Rodney King was on the news for 6 months. And they still acquitted the officers.
Yes, and then half of Los Angeles was destroyed in the riots, in the subsequent riots.
Well, I'm not necessarily so sure that that was a bad thing. Los Angeles should have totally burned to the ground.
Yeah, probably. After the antics of Bill Gates, yeah, probably including the Microsoft buildings.
One could only hope.
Windows.
Precisely. So I wonder if these brain scans that they're talking about being used on, humans before they commit a crime to bust them and lock them up for pre-crime offenses, if they're going to use these same types of brain scans on anyone looking to enter the police force.
How about using them on the people that we are complaining about, like David Rockefeller or Sir what's his name, Rothschilds and.
Oh no! Of course not. These people don't even need to take vaccines. Why should they?
So we could always
Why should we subject them to brain scans?
We could always plonk Barry Soetoro's head inside the machine and say, "Are you a U.S. citizen? Were you born in the U.S.?" That would completely knock it out that way, wouldn't it? Eh?
Oh, his head will spin around and his eyes will start flickering and glowing, and the machine somewhere inside him would shut down.
So, we if they're proposing this, then let's propose to the Justice Department, and Barry is the first one to be subjected to it.
Sure, I think that's great. If politicians want this stuff to go on, they should be the first people subjected to it.
Yep. There you go.
Are you a psychopath? Oops, lost another one.
With suitable laser darts already connected. Ask the question.
Our own personal gom jabbers.
Answer the question truthfully. Oh, I did so and so. That's a lie.
Oh, I totally support that. Support that.
Yeah, I mean, let's put Barry in it first and say, are you a natural-born American citizen? If you're not, get out of office, and everything you've done up to date is null and void, and we're going to roll it right back to... let's roll it right back to 1908. Okay, the Federal Reserve, you've gone. Thank you.
I'm thinking let's go back even further.
Oh, I don't know.
Let's go back, say... 1805.
No, I think you need to go back before at least 1871, when they first created the United States of America Corporation.
Right, I'm saying let's go back so far back that at least the Constitution's been written, the Revolution is over, and we've had a couple presidents.
Yeah, well, the only thing... Oh, well, I'm not, because constitutionally, then people were allowed to own slaves. Back. So that I could not possibly agree with people owning slaves, because that's what we're complaining about now, that we are. What they did with the 14th Amendment was create everyone, or turn everyone into slaves.
Okay. All right. Okay. So it's got to be post 1864 then. But before Lincoln gets shot for refusing to kowtow to the bankers.
Oh,
and
yeah.
We just need to ramp up the security around his box in Ford's Theater.
So, here we have a tool that would absolutely ruin politicians, because you're lying, Mr. Politician. We know you're lying. We've got your head in this machine, and it says you're lying.
Well, there's a truth machine that you've got to stick their head in.
Oh yeah,
I know one of those. It's called a vice. It's a lot simpler.
Oh yeah.
No electronic parts.
Yeah, and one little notch at a time, tightening it one little notch. Click. Did you do this?
I'm saying we just need to invent our own type of gom jabber, Maggot. That's simple. It's that easy.
A truth machine.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll submit to it. Ask me any question you want to. They won't, but once in a while. In Lenny's famous words, I want out.
I just want my own private arsenal of nukes. Mr.
I think
Obama.
having your own private arsenal of nukes invites conflict, though.
Yeah, but you just asked the right questions. Yeah. I mean, the whole thing about this Israeli nonsense that's going on now, do they, don't they?
Of course they do. They tried to sell it to the South Africans.
There's also a rumor that the two units that went missing are now in the hands of the Israelis and will be exported to an American port near you.
Well, if you're Israel, you can just deny all existence.
And if anyone says otherwise, well, that's what the...
You're anti-Semitic, then.
Anti-Semitic, huh?
Yeah.
Semantic. Oh, there's
Semantic, not
there's another word.
That's a Mark Cornke word. He loves anti-Semitic. He says it on the show.
Well...
I'm just thinking, how could you be anti-Semitic and still say that word?
Vicious and I are taking a nap.
That's good.
He's already asleep. I'm trying to get to sleep.
That's fair. Not a problem.
He's a great cat.
Not as cool as my cat.
No?
Mostly because
He's
my
way
cats
cool.
are all out of the room. And not
Vicious
cool
Monster's hip.
Here you go, Maggot. Here's another one for you. UK Daily Mail. Every Google web search could be stored up for 2 years under a controversial new EU plan that has the backing of more than 300 euro MEPs.
That would never go wrong.
No, because I always want to find out what I was searching for 18 months ago.
Well, sure, of course.
Something that keeps me awake at night.
Of course. Written Declaration 29 is intended to be used as an early warning system to stop pedophiles by logging what they look for using search engines. Now, I actually was years ago I was working on an article on pedophilia and sex offenders in the U.S. for a class I was taking in college. And I used a search engine to try and find some of these chats and some of these things and everything out there. And I came across a website, and I clicked on it, and it suddenly popped up the screen that said, your ISP has now been recorded by blah, 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 blah. The feds are going to be at your house in 48 hours to confiscate all. And I'm going, woo, yeah, wow.
Yeah, I know.
That's a little frightening. You know, it's not like I'm going to some strange website like www.16152.2xkf3.771248.
What is wrong with you?
.777.
I'm always going there.
Are you?
One of my favourites. Yeah, it's bookmarked.
I'm glad. Who, me?
It's
All
the
kinds of
most
things are wrong
interesting.
with me.
It's an indexed telephone directory from southern Thailand from the 1940s. Didn't you know that? I'm always there. It's fascinating.
Really?
Oh,
I'd actually be amazed if that was a website because I just made it up off the top of my head. I was just rambling numbers and letters.
It'll be there by tomorrow. Don't you worry.
I'm sure somebody listening out there is going to post one. Just
MI21 will put it up.
I think you're unaware of the naming structures for the web. And the numbering system. Well, what's the problem?
I was just rambling off things, just trying to show how ridiculous
That's
it
funny.
was. I hope I wasn't even close to anything real because that's frightening. That would be very strange. But so
well, you could do an IP address of like 134.74.89.220:4235 or something / blah blah blah. That's.
Hold on. Repeat that again. Was that yours?
No, I just made it up. Well, that'd be an FTP sort of address.
But yeah, so this is an early warning system to stop pedophiles by using search engines. I wonder how many pedophiles actually use Google. But civil liberty groups have hit out at the proposal, which they say is a completely unjustifiable intrusion into citizens' privacy, and they claim that there is no evidence it would even be effective in trapping pedophiles who would never use search engines like Google to look for child pornography. So be careful what you put into Google for the next couple of years, I guess.
The real pedophiles are the people who are doing this. They're the ones who
that's why
take all
they're
our
trying to
rights
track
away.
down
They're
competition.
the Rothschilds and all that.
Well, they're trying to track down competition.
Sir Evelyn, I'm a gay Rothschild. He's definitely gay. I mean, you can tell he's gay the way he moves his hands. It's such a puff.
I haven't seen his hands. Do you have like extreme close-up videos?
I think the term puff is funny. I've never heard that one used.
Puff.
Well, what it refers to is powder puff. You know, like female, they have this, this powder that they put on their faces. So it's sort of, these are effeminate males, so they're puffs. It's quite a narrow term. I mean, they're certainly not gay, are they? They're not happy, or.
I don't see as though that means anything to them.
So they're puffs. I mean, at one time when I was a lad, we used to call them by the correct name, which was, of course, queers. But in my day, it was illegal to be a queer.
Illegal to be a queer.
Yeah.
The good old days. Yeah. I'm trying to get Evelyn Rothschild, hands moving gay. I'm looking it up. Gay hands dance, Evelyn Rothschild. YouTube.
Sir Evelyn, I'm a puff to Rothschild.
Yeah. Evelyn Rothschild's gay hands.
It's debilitating sometimes to watch all this stuff, read all this stuff, learn all this stuff, find out about all of this stuff, and realize how many people have just don't care because it's far more important for them to worry about who got kicked off American Idol. or whether the new bachelorette is going to be a hot blonde or a sultry brunette, or, you know, where Barry Soetoro is going to be giving a commencement address. Because that's important news.
The young man who, the Irish citizen, a U.S. Marine, Ken O'Keefe.
The one who disarmed the Israeli guards on board the...
Mavi Marmara.
Right.
Was actually a dual citizen. He also has a Palestinian passport from Gaza. And the Israelis took that away from him. They've stolen it.
Well, of course.
Because he's a dual citizen. So, and he, when they were deporting him, he was asking to be deported to Gaza. Because that was where he was headed, and that's where his passport said. He didn't have his Irish passport on him.
Well,
so
why not?
the only identification he had on him was his Gazan passport. And when they were releasing him, as they were walking him through to the airport, he was just calling the guards, "You're just murderers," and what have you. And so there you go.
I wonder how difficult it would be to establish dual citizenship with Palestine.
I don't honestly know. Perhaps you should ask Mr. O'Keefe, and let's all become dual citizens.
Well, that's what I'm actually trying to look up right now, because I'm curious. I wonder what kind of work I would need to do if I'd have to convert to Islam or something like that. I would doubt it. I'm sure there's Palestinian Christians.
There are Palestinian Christians, there are Palestinian Druze, there are Palestinian Shias.
Well, the Palestinian Jews are the only real Jews left anymore, mostly.
Yeah. And Druze as well as Jews, Palestinian Jews. There's Palestinian Druze.
What's a Drew? I'm sorry.
Druze is a form of, it's a sect of Christianity.
Not what I'm familiar with.
D-R-U-Z, Druze. Mainly in the Christian community of Lebanon. Is that... I'm
going to spell it again. D-R-U-E...
No, U-Z, yeah, U-Z.
You silly...
I think there's an E on the end, I can't be sure, but I think it's D-R-U-Z-E, but I can't be sure. Because I still haven't sobered up from last night yet.
Oh. You celebrating?
Yeah. Oh, in a way, celebration. God, grief, Charlie Brown. we just keep getting these tropical waves of unbelievably heavy rain coming through.
I can hear it in the background. Yeah.
Well, it's that time of year.
Oh well, it'll make me garden grow. My flamboyant tree in the front yard looks absolutely fantastic. Just covered in bright red, white flowers.
It's got a special word for it though, the weather you have, because I experienced some, but it's not monsoon, is it?
No.
That's what you have in India. Looking it up now.
Monsoon is typically the Pacific region, just
tropical
hurricanes.
Tropical waves or tropical depressions.
Okay.
Right. Because in the Pacific they call them typhoons, and in the Atlantic we refer to them as hurricanes.
Hurricanes, yeah.
Same thing, just,
Well, the first you get is a tropical storm, then a tropical wave, then you get into your hurricane-sized storms, but and categorise those from 1 to 5.
Sure. Well, I lived in Florida for a while, and in the middle of summer, it rained for about an hour every single day. Massive, major, huge, heavy, powerful, driving, downpouring, torrential rains. And then it'd be gone.
Sometimes here, when it really, really rains, you can't see across the road. It's like a thick fog. You know, you walk outside, am I going to drown?
Yeah.
I mean, we had a real downpour about a year ago, 18 months. It put 4 inches of rain down in an hour.
Wow.
Yeah, that's why I called them torrential downpours. I think that was the word I used. I saw quite a few of them. Then they tried to copy them over here in the UK. They just got the raining part right. They didn't get the sun.
Well, there in the UK, you have mostly fog, don't you?
No.
You see, here you just would not believe the size of the raindrops when it starts really hammering.
Yeah,
Like
it's quite intense. I've seen some
small
of it.
VWs.
Well, when it hits the floor, it bounces back up 18 inches, you know?
Yeah, it's like hailstones, yeah.
Wow. I haven't seen that since Hurricane Gloria blew up the East Coast in the 1980s.
Well, you can look forward to another hurricane now. And that would be, of course, the discharge of BP oil that's busily making its way round.
Thank God I live in Michigan.
Busily making its way round the Florida Panhandle, and soon to be captured on the Atlantic conveyor, the current that carries the warm waters of the Caribbean over to northwest Europe, the Gulf Stream.
Now, one of the most ridiculously stupid things about that I heard over the course of this weekend through some of the research that I did, apparently the CEO of BP publicly made the statement that the company did not ever take into consideration, nor did they have any program set up to deal with this kind of a problem. Hold on. You're establishing an oil derrick that's going to drill down so many thousand feet through the ocean and then down through the ocean floor, and it never occurred to you to think of what the worst case scenario might be and make contingency plans for it beforehand? Did you think it was never going to break down? That's like buying a car and expecting never to have to put gas in it, don't you think? I mean, when I start a new job and have to climb up onto a roof and hammer new shingles on a roof, the first thing I think of is, okay, what kind of safety precautions do I have to take so that if I start to slip down the roof, I'm not going to fall off the roof and kill myself?
Here we go.
Why would you drill down into the Earth's core underneath the ocean and not have a safety plan?
You get the thunder and lightning. Thunder and lightning, lightning!
Galileo.
Figaro.
Yeah, I've just been reading another report here. Israeli patrol kills 4 Palestinian militants. That's what they're saying in the UK press.
Yeah, I scanned that one.
Yeah, well, what they actually did was killed 4 Palestinian fishermen.
Mm-hmm.
So, this sort of nonsense really gets up my nose. But when I said, the Iranian Red Crescent has announced it's going to send ships with aid for Gaza, Iran. Oh my goodness.
Gaza needs so much help these days. It's just ridiculous.
Well, let's create conflict.
Yeah, well, you see, the problem with Gaza, I mean, his football career is over.
Yeah, it's all bottles
So
of
he
bees.
needs all the help he can get.
Bottles of bees and painkillers. He's taking them both at the same time.
Oh, which reminds me, just real briefly, England's
No one
playing
knows
the
time.
U.S. this Friday.
Yeah, the World Cup.
Soccer.
Yeah, the World Cup.
Just real briefly. So, Maggot, if you're watching the game, you'll have to keep in touch with me and let me know what your
Right on.
opinion of how it's going is.
I'm not a big fan of football.
No one here in the U.S.
Gazette.
is, so of course it's not going to be broadcast anywhere here.
You see, I'd rather participate in the sport rather than watch somebody else perform.
Yeah. It seems a bit weird, doesn't it? Just sit on your ass for 2 hours watching other people run around.
Yeah.
Don't know. Never appealed to me.
Yeah. So.
Spectator
So anyway.
sports is just not my scene.
Well,
I
yes,
just brought
I'd
it up
rather
because you
do it than
mentioned
watch
Gaza and his career being over.
Yeah.
I'd
I'm not
rather
even interested.
watch it.
Well, yeah, I'm not even interested in the competitiveness of it. It's just more of a thing you do for exercise. But... Never mind. Pretty unconventional that way.
So, Iran is sending aid to Gaza.
Yep. Iran has announced that its organisation, the Red Crescent, will send aid ships. I wonder if the Iranian Navy will escort it. Now that would be a sight to see, especially if they organised it alongside another Turkish flotilla escorted by the Turkish Navy, and a Greek flotilla escorted by the Greek Navy, and an Irish escorted by the Irish. Yeah, right. Let's have a real ball.
Just send every country in the whole damn world into that sea.
Yeah, into the Mediterranean. I think they did this.
Just like just going right around the world, a line of ships, a flotilla.
How is Iran going to get its navy to help Gaza without having to come up the Suez Canal or go all the way around to
you think
the
they
entrance to the Mediterranean?
So, don't matter. They've gotten, they can't stop them coming up the Suez Canal. That's an international waterway.
You would think so, but the U.S.
Israelis
blocked
sent their
Panama
submarines.
Canal many times.
Yeah, the Israelis sent their submarines through there. The British send their naval ships into the Gulf through there. So
Okay, but you just mentioned the same two navies, Israel and Britain.
well, yeah. I mean, they're all part of the same thing.
Wonder if Egypt and everyone will be nice and happy to let them go ahead and do that.
Yeah, wonder if they'd accept.
I'm just wondering if they're just trying to ramp up and ensure that major Middle East tensions flare up in such a huge way before the elections here in the U.S.
No, I don't think so. I think
Elections in the US? You only got Obama, you only had him a few months, haven't you?
No. It's the midterm elections in November.
Yeah, this is the
Okay.
midterm stuff. This is replacement of a number of governors. This is a massive replacement
governors,
of senators and
senators, congressmen,
representatives and everything else. And I mean, there's been so much. They've been doing all the Tea Party incitements, and they've been doing all of the conservatives versus this Democratic liberal regime, blah 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 thing. I wonder if the
What
last
do you mean
minute
democratic liberal? It's not liberal. It's not democratic. It's just a socialist dictatorship. Come on, man.
I'm trying to use the colloquial terms that they're operating under, not the ones that I believe in. I'm attempting to showcase the propaganda terms that they throw
He is,
around.
and he's trying to join the new He's trying to
Valid.
join the New World Order himself.
Don't tell people!
It's,
Man! You can win my plan.
The New World Order! You must die.
My real dual citizenship is going to be with the Bilderberg Group and the Trilateral Commission. Yeah, that's it.
Ich bin ein Rothschild agent for the New World Order. I can't even remember how it is in German, It's not like New World Order or something,
So I'm just wondering if they're trying to ramp things up and get it to a point where they can suddenly create a mass crisis, that
Well,
America has to step up and respond to, which just allows them to force the same control principles all over again. I mean, when Bush got elected, it was just barely getting elected, and the only way that they could distract people from trying to pay any attention to it was to automatically ensure that within the first 9 months of the new president's term, they had some kind of major, gigantic crisis so that the midterm elections could be hijacked, so that the following presidential election could continue to be hijacked. I mean, the only reason George Bush got elected the second time, as far as propaganda-wise went, was because before the election happened, he came out and said, "Mission accomplished," which invalidated anyone being able to challenge his whole war policy, even though the war has still been going on, even though we're another...
He accomplished that, I believe, in 2003, right?
Yeah, mission accomplished, 2003. March of
Yeah,
03.
a special banner and everything.
Yep, exactly.
Stood on the deck of like one of his disgusting aircraft carriers. It's like,
Right.
yeah. Apparently, like, did a loop-the-loop or something a few months before.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
So
I'll do the loop. Now everybody look the other way. And then he like
Right.
steps out from behind a banner, you know. Yeah, mission accomplished. Yeah. And the actual pilot was like carrying away under the pilot's seat, you know. You couldn't actually see him.
Cowering and hiding down. I didn't fly him onto this plane. It wasn't my fault. No one look at me. No one look at me.
Yeah, he just jumped out. He just jumped up like he just jumped out of the plane, but it was all a setup. Never been in the plane in the first place.
Right. So
Actual fool people.
I mean, for Israel to jump onto this ship and for all of a sudden Iran to be providing support and help, and it's who was it? Was it FDR? Was it?
I've got a think German for New World Order is Nie Weltordnung. Yeah, Nie. I can't say it. It's a horrible word.
Not
Nie. Neue. Nie. Yeah. Well.
Adolf? No, that's not how it's pronounced. I'm sorry. My fault.
Yeah. New World Order, I've got it as. New
Weltordnung.
New Weltordnung. Weltordnung. Yeah.
Weltordnung. Weird.
Weltordnung.
Leave the
Yeah.
Germans to
Yeah.
make language hard.
Yeah, you just say new in the same way as English, don't you? You say new. I don't know.
Could be.
I hate that word the way it's spelled. You.
So I just wonder if they're, I can't, like I said, I can't remember who it was, whether it was Roosevelt or Johnson. It was somebody in the 40s or 50s of the presidents here in the U.S. who made the comment that there is nothing that occurs in politics that has not been planned.
I think that
Which
was
means
Roosevelt.
the Israeli raid, I think it was Roosevelt. The Israeli raid was planned, which means the Iranian response in sending ships to help Gaza was planned.
It's all called theatre, isn't it?
Right, exactly.
So
Well,
theatre
it's a
of war,
theater of war.
politics, yeah.
hmm And so they're hyping and pushing and trying to re-stimulate all of this massive, gigantic fear in people, and I wonder if it's being utilized to help sway not only what's going on in the European Union by providing them the incentive that all of these countries that are suddenly becoming part of this huge debt cycle have to do something so that we have the power to stand up against blah, 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 and as well to attempt to hijack and control the perceptions of the midterm elections here in the U.S. Because it's going to take the Iranian Navy a while to get there. It's not like they're going to be there tomorrow. And then there'll be stand-ups and stand-offs and stand-downs and firings and everything else. And I mean, I've seen things and visited a few sites online that are predicting that there's going to be some kind of a major event triggered off sometime September or early October.
Would change.
Yeah. So I'm curious as to what your guys' opinion on that subject might be. Is if you see it as being that kind of a long term, or if it's a more of a short term, or an even longer term.
News is staged. It's like watching a movie. It's not really an opinion. It's the reality of the situation.
It's like when they're going to bring on the actors, it's not really that important. They can bring them on any time, really. There are people in hindsight say, "Oh yes, of course I knew it's going to be then."
Right, that's easy to do.
Yeah, it's easy once it's happening. I don't think they even need to bother playing by those rules. I know they like to do it, but I don't think they even need to. They can just do it, edit fire off these last rounds any time. If they're already openly reporting what's happening in the Bilderberg thing, then they're just going to retaliate, I reckon. NWA is going to retaliate by just saying, okay, we'll just do it now then, whatever. No more waiting for the summer solstice or whatever, Prince William's puberty or whatever. Just do it. It's like,
Sure.
I mean, I guess, they might be doing
When's the
things
next
faster.
satanic holiday?
I
I don't know their schedule.
Yeah. Well,
April 19th is the Masonic Date of New Beginnings.
What is?
April 19th, that's when they did the Oklahoma City thing and the
Right.
Waco.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was the same date as Columbine, too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think they're doing enough now, sort of, that they don't need to worry about doing things to any specific festivals or dates, because it's all sorts of like significant stuff that happens at insignificant dates. I think they just chuck a few up at significant dates to kind of distract you a bit, make you think that it's like, oh, I'll be quiet until this date, just get you worried to focus on one date. And in the meantime, they've done like 50 different things. Well, they've already done it now, but they've done like 50 different things to like take away your liberties and everything else. So you're focusing on the big thing, and you sort of miss out the little parts of the big picture.
Well, and that's what I'm trying to hint at, is that, we know what dates the major events happen, but how do you notice when and where the smaller events that precurse that big event are being put into place? And if we can figure out where they started. Well,
Precursor.
okay, it precursed
He goes
it all the way
Can you
like...
hear Maggot? He said precurse.
It's a pre-crime. It's when he cursings in advance.
No. A precursor to an event is the thing that
precursor we understand. Precurse. There's no precurse.
I'm sorry, precursory to. I apologize.
I'm not even sure there's
Once
precursor.
again, I was using a word with an implication of a denotation, not a connotation. I will try to not do that again in the future.
Precurse.
Do look it up. I'm not
There
so
is no
sure it
precurse.
isn't an existent word in the English vocabulary.
No precurse.
No precurse?
No.
That would be like just before I tell you to if you CK me?
That's you're just making up your own tenses and things. I mean, you can't do that.
Why not? Shakespeare did.
Yeah, but then there's you.
Well, now I've been put in my place. Thank you.
And it's really, bacon anyway.
Yeah, I know. He's like playing with a new language, so you can't. Every word in that whole his complete words, you could say he made up. As soon as they work for the
Aren't
same
they
company,
all made up?
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's not like when the world was created, God suddenly went, and you're all going to speak English. And gave
The only
language.
important language is Greek anyway. Just forget it.
Byzantine Greek or Macedonian Greek?
We don't count Macedonians and not Greeks.
I tell you what, as soon as we all learn how to speak a Byzantine Greek, we'll do the show all in that.
That's my hope. We're working on that.
Do they have a, what is it, the Rosetta Stone for Byzantine Greek?
I was just thinking about that. No, they don't. I have to learn it the hard way.
Oh, that means I have to think. Well, that's it. We're all moving to Cincinnati now. We're all going to join your church.
That'll be great. They'll be thrilled to have you, I'm sure.
And we're all going to try and pile onto your couch. With Vicious.
I sleep on the couch, usually.
This might be a problem.
The bedroom's open, though. The bedroom's actually quite clean.
Well, you always have to be near your computer, so I understand. So, the question then becomes is, how much of what's going on right now is a precursory action to
I'm going to check that, too.
the date that they're going to pull off the next night?
Well, they're pulling it off now, really, aren't they? They've got to have the little events, the big event.
Right, but the big
I think
events
just-
have to happen on certain dates that mean something in their Luciferian controlled blah 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 bourgeois elitist crap.
Well, you say that, but you can't guarantee that's going to be always the case. They might change their mind. They might just be doing that up to a point, and then they might think that like the temperature of the frog soup's raised high enough that it's time to kill the frog. You know the analogy of like if you put a frog in water and gradually raise the temperature rather, he doesn't realise that the water's getting hotter. It's a really stupid analogy, but and then eventually you cook the frog and he doesn't even realise it because
Right.
it's gradually.
But if you try to
increasing
toss
pressure.
it into the boiling water, it will leap right out.
That's it. Yeah.
Sure. I'm familiar with that. Well, but that's my question is that
It's
at
a
what
dull
point are we
question.
here
That's why
right
we don't
now?
answer it.
Where
We've already
is
answered that
the where's the temperature dial?
Not in our head.
Yeah. But if we can notice that the temperature dial is being raised, shouldn't we all be leaping out?
No, we've
So
a long time ago. Apparently, you
Osama bin Laden's forehead. That's why he wears a turban. It's on his head.
My turban is dirty.
I spit on your beard.
That's because you live in India.
Do they use turbans as their toilet rolls in India? I reckon they do.
I've never been to India. I don't know the answer to that question.
That's been deliberately insulting. It's a toilet roll where they carry on their heads.
At least you would never worry when you walked into a public bathroom.
I just wouldn't be worried if it's true in the first place.
I'd be worried if I were in most places in India anyway.
It's been compared to having a nappy on your head, you see, a turban. So it's taking it one step further. I was just comparing it to have a toilet roll on your head.
So anyway, so that's another thing to keep an eye on is Iran's involvement in Gaza and the escalating tensions going on in the Middle East.
Mr. Obama sending 4 more carrier groups to the area. That's certainly a small escalation.
Just a small one. 4 carriers. Isn't that the maximum load that we had in the Pacific Ocean during World War II?
Yeah, well, these 4 carrier groups, that's not just the aircraft carriers, the escort ships as well.
Oh, sure. Gotcha. Yeah, because nothing would serve the world better than loading the Mediterranean with a bunch of warships.
Full well peace. Full well peace.
Right.
War
Because
for
the only way to
peace.
get peace is to hold a gun to your head.
Yeah.
We're an anti-hate group, and if you don't agree with us, I'll shoot you.
Piece of brains.
I just... I want out. I want them out, or I want out.
I resign.
I do not consent.
I resign. I think I'm going to renounce my citizenship of everywhere. I'm going to be nobody's citizen. I'm not going to be subject to anybody.
Yeah, satin's a fabric like silk, and they put it on the inside of gloves or something, I think. And it's chosen that name specifically. Yeah, like velvet gloves and the iron fist and all that sort of thing. I think satin's that white stuff, isn't it? It's like pure white.
Satin, no, it can be other colours as
Satin
well.
can be any color.
Cool. Oh, I'm looking at it now.
Satin's a style of fabric.
Yeah, it's like a bit of lingerie. Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, satin is like is a manufactured, almost artificial silk.
Yeah.
It's like
It's
polyester.
sad I make these jokes in the text chat. Nobody gets them. They were actually they're contemplating.
What texture? What texture?
This one. They sit there and contemplate what satin is. I worship satin. I mean, nobody laughed at all.
I thought Saturn was a planet.
Yeah.
No, that was
Life found on
Saturn.
Yeah, I found Life Found on Saturn as well as a headline, but I thought it was too boring. I couldn't bother reading it.
No. It was really funny. I was just poking jabs back at you
Oh, great.
for the precursor statements. So, private inside joke. Hopefully we can
So-
make sure that this is edited out of that broadcast.
So
Yeah,
if
like
that
I
was
sit there
the
and edit. Yeah, really.
if that was the precurse, when does the curse come along?
If you seek a me. I mean, you've seen that video at this point, haven't you, Caribbean?
Explain.
Britney Spears released a new song. I'll have to look for the video. Maybe Lenny can find it faster than I can. Her latest video that she put out, I guess, a few months ago, the chorus to it goes, "All the boys and all the girls are begging to, if you seek Amy." It's an IFYOUSEEKAMY. If you seek Amy. But it's sung so fast and everything else that it really comes across as all the boys and all the girls are begging to, if you seek Amy.
I do not stand under that statement.
Well, but it's just a running joke through. It's the nice way to swear at each other and curse at each other. I guess is the nicest way to phrase it. So yeah, once again, it's one of those wonderful private inside jokes that as soon as you know it, it becomes so much better. So that's the curse after the precurse. The precurse is the breath before I say it.
We're getting into the vernacular again, you know, lads.
I know it doesn't mean quite as much in English as it does in ink. Oh wait, hold on. I need better language than that. Doesn't mean quite the same in British as it does in American.
Well, of course, Americans don't speak English; they speak Americanese.
Yeah.
Oh no, most of them don't even speak that.
We are divided by a common language, of course.
Who said that first? That's one of my favorite lines.
Winston Churchill.
Oh, God, now my brain hurts. Thank you. I used to have the biggest respect for him when I was in high school, and then I grew up and realized who and what he really was.
The man was a politician interfering in a violent conflict, and his interference caused massive deaths. The landings at Anzio were just one example of his interference, which caused big screw-ups.
Well, sure, if you're just going to head along with the party line and let Britain contract with Adolf Hitler, it'd have been okay.
Well, we'd have had the European Union a lot sooner.
Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? I came across something on Consen earlier today. I didn't download it, but I was thinking about it. It was a whole article on, or document, it may have even been a book, I don't know how many pages it was, on how Britain and America created or supported the Nazi Party on a political level for the ultimate creation of the European Union.
They, I mean, it's almost to the point where Britain and America created the Nazi Party, funded the Nazi Party through the Vatican.
Yeah.
I mean, the British Secret Service trained the Gestapo and others, and then through Operation Paperclip, the Gestapo or the Secret Service was brought over to America to form the basis of the CIA. I mean, don't forget these guys in MI6. I know they weren't called MI6 before, but these guys have been around in the UK for 600 years.
Yeah.
Well, they're just an extension of the Knights Templar, the Rosicrucians, and everything else, aren't they?
Oh, precisely.
Is that wrong?
No. You. It's almost certain you have to be a Mason to get in MI6 or MI5. It's a requirement.
Well, I'll get to that later. Go ahead.
So.
Yeah.
Oh.
Here it is. It's Conjuring Hitler: How Britain and America Made the Third Reich. So go ahead and download it and send it off to you guys after I've got it downloaded. It's not that huge. I haven't had a chance to read it or anything.
It's always been, these world wars have always been funded by the large corporations, and most of the large corporations we see now have their offices in the City of London. Even the large American corporations have offices in the City of London, like Goldman Sachs and what have you. They all have their, and it's a freaking nonsense. This is a little state that's got no law except the law that it decides to make for itself. It's got its own police force that has nothing to do. It's got its own transport police. It's got its own judicial. And you notice that the Old Bailey, the premier court of the so-called United Kingdom, is sited in the City of London because that's where that corporate institution operates from.
Oh, it sounds like DC.
Precisely. But DC was set up on the model created by the City of London.
Now, does Barbados have is their center of government in a province that operates in the same type of way, or is it in a district that operates in the same type of way, or is the whole country considered a full-blown Commonwealth?
The whole country is just part of the Commonwealth, a full-blown Commonwealth. It's,
okay.
Yeah, but of course, you see, the problem with that is that any decisions made here have to be ratified by the Privy Council.
Okay, that doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm gonna.
Well, people imagine that they have been independent, but they aren't really, because all the rules, regulations, laws, acts, and everything have to be sanctioned by the Privy Council, which is a bunch of senior lawyers and lords and what have you in the UK that give their assent to what's been created here in Barbados. Listen. This Crown Corporation has never let go of a single territory, not even America.
Yeah.
Sure. How could it? That would hampered from being able to maintain its idea that the sun never sets on the British Empire.
Well, it's now the Anglo-American Empire, but
What about? I think it was Hong Kong or Singapore. They had this ridiculous ambassador who supposedly screwed everything up, and then he had to hand the territory back to China. Either Hong Kong or Singapore.
That would have been Hong Kong, because they did that.
And you honestly,
while Clinton was still on.
You see, they ostensibly handed over the lease to China.
Yeah, they had to return it or something. It was on loan or something from China or something.
999-year lease.
Yeah.
So they handed the lease back. Does that mean that anything changed? Not really. Does that mean that the administration of Hong Kong's affairs has changed that too much? No, they just put another layer on top of it, and that's China. But being as China now utilises Hong Kong as its outlet to operate in capitalist commerce instead of socialism, it's still, if you like, semi-autonomous. But the people who are really running it are still the same people who are running it in the first place.
Nothing's been running it for 900 years, odd. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, so nothing's really changed.
No, it's just become like a British Orient gateway.
Yeah, and so all that change was just a dog and pony show, just theatre.
Oh, yeah. No, I was just saying it.
Well, and I think the continued influence of China on the political spectrum and the economic spectrum can be easily reflected in how, when China celebrated its 50th anniversary of the establishment of the Communist Party, the Empire State Building here in New York changed its lights to reflect the red and yellow of the Communist Party of China. I mean, for the whole day that China celebrated the 50th anniversary, the United States, which is supposed to be the capitalistic free capital of the world, paid homage to the most gigantic surviving communist country. Couldn't have been because they own the majority of our debt or anything like that.
Well, Europe is socialist almost to a state. Well, they're all socialist, really. They're all socialist.
Sure.
And America is being brought into line with Europe in mandated healthcare and all the other shit that they're bringing through. Right. But, I mean, all these ideas were first put forward by Marx and Lenin and and the other.
The Rothschilds.
Yeah, the other.
They funded Marx's research and everything else.
Yeah, but it's the Ashkenazi side of the Jewish people.
The Khazarian Jews, yep.
Khazarian Jews that brought communism forward, that brought socialism into Europe, and is busily bringing socialism into the United States. I think it's already there, to be honest. I mean, it's there.
It's been here for decades.
It's there, all but in name only.
They broke down the American economy nicely. You should be ready for it. It's the first thing you need to do if you want to introduce communism into a country is to break it down tightly. It's economic infrastructure.
Well, the first thing you do is you establish democracy.
Yeah.
Because democracy leads to communism, which leads to socialism, which leads to fascism.
We're getting another plunge on the Dow, chaps.
Who cares? It's one of my absolute favorite things about this gigantic, huge recession that's happened here in the United States is...
But it's about to get worse.
Well, I don't own stocks, so I didn't lose any value to my existence, like so many people have freaked out that they've lost. I don't own title to a house that I'm losing money on based upon a banking structure. And I've already been living on a dirt poor salary for the last, 6-7 years. So when everyone else started having to tighten their belts I just kept on doing the same things I've always done. So, let the Dow plunge all the way to zero. All that's going to happen is everyone that I know is going to come to me and say, hey, how do I grow my own vegetables? And I'll say, it's really easy to do. Here's what I need from you. Commitment, time, and dedication. And don't let anyone come onto the property.
Unfortunately, who owns the property?
I'm the human being that inhabits it.
Correct, but do you own it?
Go ahead. Go ahead. Try to tell me it's yours.
I'll give you a small argument. I'll give you a small argument over that.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I mean, if somebody tries to take it, I'm going to give you a small argument over that. It's called a 9mm Browning automatic, and it shoots these very small pieces of metal, which are deadly.
Yeah, but you see, as soon as he pulls that 9mm thing out and somebody steps behind him and places a bladed weapon across his throat that they didn't realize was right there, go ahead, you can shoot me, but you're not going to live very much longer, so killing me isn't going to give you any food. Now, if you want to go ahead and help us out and be a free human being and not demand things by force because you think a gun gives you authority, we can negotiate and we can contract with each other. I have no problems with that. But if you're going to step onto anything and tell me you have authority to it because you're going to threaten my life, you better kill me. Because it's the only way you're going to get anything. You better just kill me.
Yeah, we're all MI6 on the show. It's license to kill. Except you.
I don't need a license to kill. I just need a license for defense.
License to kill.
I don't even need a license to defense. I have a right to defense.
Show's so boring.
But they might kill each other by the end of the show. That'd be a highlight. Kill each other on air.
Good luck.
Use your remote powers.
I protest this duress. Putting a gun to me head and making me do things. No.
Precisely. So. I say bring it on.
Bring it on.
Bring it all the way on.
No, I resign.
I do not consent.
Where are we going? I still think we should really go after the law and the lawmakers. Oh, the statute and the statute makers, should I say? I'll correct myself there. Self-correction. This is.
Well, I agree. I definitely think we need to go after the people that have hijacked or attempted to hijack the whole system and claim that they have the right to act in any way that they want to when they don't. They need to be ended, brought down. For sure. There we go. But they don't want to leave. And they don't even think they've done anything wrong. And that's what bugs me the most. Not only that they think they haven't done anything wrong, but that they work so hard at trying to convince other people that they haven't done anything wrong. That, quote, this is the way it's supposed to be, end quote. I mean, that's one of the biggest things that I deal with when I'm running through this stuff, when we're not on air, when I'm reading, when I'm researching, is I still have to try and balance off this ingrained habit that I've been indoctrinated with that, well, you know, they're really trying to help us out. Well, you know, maybe blah, blah this or maybe blah, blah that. And I have to constantly check against that and remember that that's what they want you to do, is accept that they're doing the right thing because they're being a parent. And it's difficult, it's tough. There's so many lies tossed around and forced on us. I want him gone, but I can't do it by myself.
Fascinating science. We'll read out that boring thing. Hints of life found on Saturn moon. There you go. That was a proper article. But it's so boring. It's not even worth reading. Oh, certainly not proof of life, but very interesting. Something to do with hydrogen collecting somewhere or other, some boring chemicals.
So anyway.
It's like the rents.com website. It's got about 50 reports all on exactly the same thing. It's so boring. These rows,
So unfortunately, they just...
It's like spin it from every angle.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's... I guess
Floating
the...
gas are found in lake. Another one. Yeah, now they're saying, I know what this is, accidentally received video mocking human ship dead. But that one's been around a while. Oh, I can read this one, I suppose. Israel accidentally distributes video mocking flotilla dead. I think I've seen this one as well. It's like We Are the World one, but it's deliberately hiding it right to the end of the article. So you read the whole damn thing, and then you find out you've just been conned and wasted 5 minutes of your life, because it's the same old thing that you've like had a million other links to, and it's accidentally like boosting the YouTube ratings. You know, over a million hits now. That okay. It's by trout fishing, so that's not a suspect name at all.
No, not at all.
Daily KOS is the rag that is written about it. Think of it! Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office accidentally promoted the video made by a former advisor of his that mocks Gaza aid flotilla dead. Inkazine, think again! Casting some doubt on the claim the video promotion was an accident, according to the BNO news service, the Israeli government press office, which is part of Netanyahu's Prime Minister office, waited 3 hours. 3 hours. Can you imagine it? Before contacting the journalist who had received an email from the office promoting the video to issue a retraction. I mean, because there's one video doing We Are the World. It's like, we calm the world, we calm the people, or whatever, and it goes on like that. But it's done by a professional outfit, and it's like a TV channel. You know, they're just like doing stuff like from Israel all the time. It's been going for like donkey's years. So, you know, now they're trying to spin it desperately like, oh, I accidentally released this professional video. Yeah, what were they thinking of? Actually got over 1 million hits. As Al Jazeera reported yesterday, the most recent video distributed on Friday by the Israeli government press office, which belongs to the Israeli Prime Minister's office and is responsible for accrediting foreign journalists, is distasteful and insulting to those killed and injured on the Freedom Flotilla, and quite frankly, disturbing. Anything else? Especially since it was made by the Jerusalem Post deputy managing editor, Caroline Glick, who also moonlights for the American Center for Security Policy in Washington DC. And don't tell me she's going to be like similar to the newsreader in that they do a spoof article on that channel. Yeah, it's a whole YouTube channel on it. I have it somewhere. Yeah, have a look. Subscriptions. Latma TV. You look on YouTube, Latma TV. It's just like it's a professional outfit. It's not something that's like turned up over 5 minutes ago, just like as a publicity stunt. Okay, Benjamin Netanyahu has a bad habit of thumbing his nose at his political opponents. On Friday, amidst the outcry against the killing of at least 9 civilians on the Turkish Gaza aid ship Mavi Marmara, that apparently is like it means something like this. Like it's something to do with Avatar movie. I didn't bother looking it up. They've given all the ships dodgy names. Mavi is like the Mavi I think were in Avatar. Or Navi or something, whatever. And they named another ship by coincidence by a woman who got run over by a bulldozer. I can't remember her name. I looked it up yesterday. Israel's government press office accidentally promoted a satirical video, Week on the World, made by a former advisor to Netanyahu that appeared to mock the dead Mavi Marmara activists. The timing could not have been uglier. Oh yeah. It was directly about it had footage from the Gaza flotilla on the video, so it's not accidental timing. Also on Friday, results from an official Turkish government conducted autopsy on the Mavi Marmara dead were released that showed a 60-year-old man, Ibrahim Bilgan, was shot 4 times in the temple, chest, hip and back. A 19-year-old named as Fulkan Dogan, who also has US citizenship, was shot 5 times from less than 45 centimetres in the face, in the back of the head, twice in the leg and once in the back. 2 other men were shot 4 times and 5 of the victims were shot either in the back of the head or in the back. On Friday afternoon, as news of the Week on the World video spread and the viewing figures reached over 1 million, the Israeli government then issued the following statement. Due to a misunderstanding on our part, earlier today we inadvertently issued a video link that we sent for our perusal. It was not intended for general release. The contents of the video in no way represent the official policy of either the government press office or the State of Israel. We apologize for any inconvenience. Thank you for your patience and understanding. Patience spelled wrong. Ephraim Roseman. Ephraim Roseman?
The entire lyrics are in there.
I know, it's just like...
You see that when you click the little link? Here, I'll post them in here. It's incredible.
Yeah, and it's got the lyrics in Hebraic or whatever. I know, I think it's really cool, but never mind. They're trying to make out that it just like somehow accidentally appeared on their desk and they accidentally promoted it. No, it's like Israeli government propaganda, whatever. It's just it's mocking the victim sort of thing. Additionally, but there's reason to doubt the sincerity of the official statement. Really? No. For one thing, Caroline Glick, the deputy managing editor at the Jerusalem Post, served as assistant foreign policy advisor to Prime Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, in 1997 and 1998. For a former advisor to Netanyahu to create such a timely video, which then gets accidentally released by Netanyahu-led Israeli government, seems more than a bit suspicious. I mean, it's something like, the Day-to-Day sending a satirical news item to the BBC, and then the BBC accidentally showing it. The Day-to-Day is like a sort of like a quasi-independent satirical news show. Or I'm on a YouTube, just accidentally like sending them a 15-minute clip of some video you're doing, taking the mickey out of I don't know, the Queen or something, and then it accidentally being shown, extracts of it being shown on the 6 o'clock news, and then it accidentally being shown at 9 o'clock, and then with the YouTube links in order to like accidentally make sure it gets promoted even more. Additionally, the video is rapidly picked up and promoted by a multitude of American right-wing and right-wing evangelical media outlets, including Pat Robertson's Christian Broadcasting Network, the evangelical Christian Zionist. Christian Zionist connection is especially telling. Benjamin Netanyahu has an extremely close relationship with American evangelicals, especially through Christians United for Israel founder John Hagee, which helps explain the following recent news by Charisma magazine. On a call with more than 3,000 participants affiliated with Christians United for Israel, KUFI, Deputy Foreign Minister Daniel Ayalon said the flotilla's sponsor, a Turkey-based charity known as IHH, has ties to Al-Qaeda and is an ally of Hamas, a militant Palestinian
How could they have
organisation.
ties to a fictional organization?
This is like the old lie. This is the old lie. That controls the Gaza Strip. Rather than delivering humanitarian supplies, Ayalon said...
Do they have ties to Smersh as well? I mean...
Yeah, they might have ties to Smurfs. They might have ties to Smurfs as well.
That and the Velvet Underground.
Yeah. Did Nico comment?
Wanted to end the blockade, which Israel insists is needed to prevent groups from smuggling weapons to Hamas.
It's ties to Al-Qaeda. How is that possible? They don't exist.
No. They've also
They may be using the same computer program.
Okay.
That's
John Deutsch
the
lost
only
it
thing
in
I
his
could
house.
think
We
of.
don't even have Al-Qaeda anymore. The database was lost. John Deutsch had to go to prison for that, and Clinton pardoned him. I'm serious.
Well, that's because it wasn't lost. He went to
Oops, there it
prison and
is.
was pardoned not because it was lost, but because it was purposely given away. It has to be.
If only they understood that, we are the world, America. Everybody else can go fuck themselves. Stole my
Wow.
joke and everything, bastard Israelis.
That didn't sound elitist at all.
To which America do you refer?
The landmass. Not the corporation.
I'm staying out of that discussion. Maggot,
Yeah,
can I ask you a quick question?
That was it. Well, there was a load of crap on the end of the article. It was just really boring. What his affiliations were, and it was just... Yeah, Carl?
Here in the U.S., our Constitution makes a statement that members of any governmental form, especially members of leadership in a state, are prohibited from attending or being part of any international group or affiliation that might compromise the operations of the United States. So if you were sitting governor of the state of New York, you couldn't have a private meeting with the Prime Minister of Great Britain in order to discuss an economic treaty between the state of New York and the country of Great Britain. Does that exist?
Does that mean you cannot be? Yeah. Does that mean you cannot be in a group calling themselves the Friends of Israel,
or the Bilderberg Group, or things like that? Here in the U.S., if you are an employee of the government, you are not allowed to enter into any kind of treaty or attend any group or any international body that might be considered.
Have you ever paid into Social Security?
Treasonous.
Have you ever paid into Social Security, Don?
Have I?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, yes.
Paying into a pension plan is prima facie evidence of employee status. You're an employee.
Well, not
There you go.
right.
You're an employee of the government.
Well, I'm inquiring as to whether that's part of the.
So your APAC membership is really bad.
Yeah, you should sever that connection immediately.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
And you can't
of
be a
course.
member of APAC now.
I can't be a member of what?
APAC? The American Israeli Political Action Committee?
Am I a member of that?
Yeah.
Well, you
Right,
can't be.
but-
So there, you can't be. And if you are, we're going to take our ball away and we're not playing.
I don't remember consenting to that. The reason I ask it is because I'm looking over this Bilderberg 2010 final list of participants, and I'm noticing that there are people from obviously there are people from the U.S. that should not be there because it's a violation of the Constitution, but there are members of the House of Lords there in Great Britain that are participating, and that would seem to be a rather treasonous act. And
It is.
That it exists
I'm not sure
there
of
as
the-
well as it does here.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the veracity of that list, but certainly Willie Tucker and the guy in The Guardian clearly show that a lot of people that should have been there were not, because of the political awakening back home. And if they do go, they're going to get thrown out. So,
well, if they're reporting on it publicly, then that means that they have some other meeting somewhere else.
Yep.
That this can't be the meeting anymore.
Nope, apparently. It's the little sub-meetings that nobody ever hears about, where the real business is.
This is now nothing, you know.
Yeah.
Well, and I wondered about that too, and that was my next question is, if this list has been published, if they're doing that kind of reporting on it, where's the real meeting being held?
Well, we need to track Kevin Rudd, David Cameron, and all the other political leaders, around the world, just to see how many disappear all in one go, and where have they all gone to?
And is that grand eugenicist?
He's gone.
You see, I mean, when
hopefully they're all 6 feet under.
When Bill Gates was spotted in Barcelona, he was there for some meeting of what have you, but that was a complete lie. He was there for the Bilderberg and he attended. So.
Well, and that's my question, because he's on the list that I'm looking at, and I wonder if he's on that list just as a method of creating. Bill Gates attended the Bilderberg group meeting, blah blah, in Spain, and we saw him in Barcelona on blah blah blah, and then no one ever sees him again if he suddenly climbed onto an underground transport train and sped all the way across Europe to go to a secret meeting somewhere in I don't know, the Ukraine.
Well, I mean, look, he's, the leader and what have you of the Microsoft Corporation that screwed the world up with its stupid operating systems and applications. Good grief! What more evidence do you need that this man is a total asshole? And
get a Macintosh. Come on.
Eugenics.
Hey, I'm operating on a Mac platform right now. I'm just waiting on a new sound card.
Excuse.
It takes forever to come. I got them from Hong Kong. That was the first batch. I had to order for you how long ago?
It's showing. Anyway.
One
but
day.
Yeah, the guy created an operating system that he then helped debilitate 14 years behind everyone else?
Between 14 and 25 years. It used to be exactly 14. Then there was that thing in 97. Now it can be up to 25 years back.
Well, we know
but that's not being done to control the populace or anything. No.
This little Israeli ditty that you just put in. I mean, the line, the truth will never find its way to your TV. The truth will never find its way to your TV. Repeated, of course, because for once they've told the truth. It ain't ever going to come to your TV.
Microsoft has always told the truth in their ads. I've seen them all listed out. But the best ones when they spent $12 million to the Stones to get Start Me Up to introduce Windows 95. And the backing chorus is, you make a grown man cry to Start Me Up. But in fact, every ad manages to tell the actual truth. It's amazing. Yeah. There's no quality control there. Or actually there is, but I mean...
What does a New York hooker and a Windows computer have in common?
I don't know.
They'll both lay down and operate for you on a very basic level for $10.
No, the Windows machine doesn't really operate, so...
Well, I don't know if you've ever met a New York hooker, neither do they.
Oh.
I mean, I've never been to New York.
Well, I know Don's involved here, but is there a funny punchline involved here?
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, for very little money, they both keep going down on you. So, Windows. So I think we should emphasise the doze.
Yeah.
With
I always spell it that way.
Yep, always. WINDOZE.
Dozy. Dozy.
Well, it keeps you asleep. What's the thing that you found on the Windows operating program that you pointed out to me that's buried all the way down in the middle of nowhere that has absolutely nothing in it that just screams New World Order all over it?
There's a globalization folder in the Windows directory, and there's nothing in there.
Yep.
It's empty.
Yeah.
Totally. There's nothing in there. He pulled it up and showed it to me. Why would you need a globalization folder in the first place and then not have anything in it?
Yeah, I know.
Well, turn it off.
I guess they're waiting for it to
get rid of it. I mean, there's half the rubbish that you've got in Windows. You can just turn it off, get rid of it, delete it, and it doesn't make any difference apart from it speeds your machine up a little bit.
Oh, the minute you delete something on Windows, you don't know what it is.
Oh no, you need to know. You need to know what it is, but half the shit isn't used.
That's one of the big mistakes people make. They really don't get why. So they actually turn stuff off. They don't. It's funny.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you can turn half of it off and you don't have much of it down. I mean, I don't let half of the Windows processes start on startup, no. Just cut it down to the barest minimum. But there again, Windows is dozy.
I used Mac since 1984, and I used the Apple II since '78. So.
1984.
Yeah.
Bum, bum, bum.
They had that commercial that aired
Mr.
one time ever.
Mr. Orwell's finally
The most influential commercial ever to air.
What's that?
Yeah, the original Mac commercial. You know, where everybody's a drone and they're watching the big screen of Big Brother, and then the woman is multicolored and she comes in with a torch and the baton. She throws the baton into Big Brother's screen. You've seen that.
Wow, that dates back further than I was paying attention.
It was only shown one time during the Super Bowl, but it's been seen billions of times. I mean, it's taught in high school.
I can find it on YouTube or all kinds of places.
Yeah.
I'm a PC. I'm a Mac.
Well, they're not trying to sell it to the mainstream. They're actually trying to. It's sort of anti-sales. It's to keep it for the media only, and then to keep people fighting against using it, which is really amazing. The propaganda is really incredible, and it's not, I mean, it's not really Apple intended, but Apple just knows what a joke it is, so they make these ads that don't drive you to go out and buy a Mac. But they are interesting. Actually, at first they did try to do it. They had the original Mac commercial I just described. Then the second commercial was the one that insulted big business, where they had all the business people in their three-piece suits and all that, with their blindfolds on, jumping off a cliff. And the one guy lifts off his blindfold and realizes he's about to jump off a cliff and quits and uses the Mac. It's the Lemmings commercial.
I haven't seen that. I don't remember seeing that one either.
Yeah, that was a brilliant. I'm going to find you the links here in a second. It's brilliant.
Awesome. We'll have to check it out.
They really had some incredible ads, and then they realized it was, See, I got this thing on the basis that it was, the computer for the rest of us and all this, and it quickly became apparent to me that it was the computer for the elite.
Oh.
I had fallen through the cracks somehow.
You talk about the Mac.
Yeah.
Well, you were aware at that point of what you were watching.
Well, kind of, but the other concept was I mainly got the Macintosh because I didn't like the really loud IBM PC keyboard. So I got it for the wrong reason, but I was like,
You mean the click, 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 clack,
and I chose the Apple II over the Altair, choosing the Apple versus the Microsoft monopoly, not realizing what that was at the time. It turned out all the other 8-bit computers used Microsoft Basic, and Apple was the only one that didn't.
And at that point, it was 14 years
my
ahead.
criteria for choosing the right computer was completely wrong, but I did pick the right one completely by accident. So I did, I think God was with me there or something.
Had to have been.
The idea that I could have picked the right one, and it just blows your mind. How could I have done that? Here's the Macintosh Lemmings commercial.
Sweet.
I probably should make tiny URLs or something.
You should make tiny URLs, and we'll
But I think people can type in Macintosh 1984 and Macintosh Lemmings into Google Video and find it.
If we were talking about the people that don't listen to our shows, I would say no, they couldn't. But being with
This is
people
the
out
game,
there
right?
that are listening to our shows have to have
Psygnosis.
at least half a brain,
Our stats are amazing.
they should be able to...
Oh, and coming up, Freeman Fly, as promised. Freeman
Yep.
wrote me back. We're getting him on.
do we have a date, a time, a scheduled...
No, but
interview or anything,
he
or
said
just
any
coming
time,
up?
and I said any time. But I'm gonna write back and try to nail a date down.
I think it would be best, because that way
We gotta get a lot smarter. He's really quite good. Me too. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Well, we're going to have him psychoanalyze you on the show.
Yeah, that'll be good.
That'll be great. We can have him psychoanalyze me. I'm all right with that.
He's
It
what,
won't take long.
what, I was watching the Apple Mac video. I thought it was like Lemmings, the game. I was waiting for like, let's go!
Run for the cliff!
Yeah, he can psychoanalyze Lenny and anyone else he cares to psychoanalyze, and I will analyze the psycho.
So you're going to be analyzing yourself. That's good. I'm glad.
Make a change.
It helps our show.
Great.
So great, excellent. We'll have to get that nailed down, because we look forward to talking to him. He's got a large audience. He's got quite a lot of people, and I look forward to hearing from him. I've watched some of his videos and checked out his website, and I look forward to it. It should be a good
Yeah, he knows me
conversation.
from before I actually stupidly spoke up out in public.
Ooh.
I don't know why I did that. I'm still trying to figure that out. I think it's some fundamental deficiency in me that I spoke out in public.
Wait, you spoke out in public. You got to tell us
I
the
broke
story.
my own rule. The rule was
Right.
anybody
Well-
that speaks out is a shell. Now,
Where in
apparently it's
public?
not
Do you
true.
mean on this show or
No, I
outside
mean
of the show?
in general. All the people in the 9/11 Truth Movement were shills, and I thought at the time, and I figured anyone who speaks out publicly must be a shill. So apparently the rule's not true, because I'm not. Damn it!
I'm not. Ah, now we know who is.
Did you have you read this one?
Just because they deny it doesn't mean anything. Just because someone denies it, I mean.
I'm not a show. What are you talking about? Who's a show? They're a show. I'm not a show. I'm sorry, Maggot. What were you
Very
saying?
shilling here.
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Oh.
Yeah, you might have looked at this one already. Biden says US seeking new ways to address Gaza crisis.
Biden?
Biden, yeah.
Oh, we should listen to him.
BD.
What does he have to say?
Oh,
Joe BD.
the self-confessed Zionist.
Yeah.
Wasn't he a
Of
member
course
of the
we should
CFR?
listen to him.
He's only the vice president. He doesn't know what he's talking about. So he's nobody. I recognise the name anyway.
If he were somebody, he would have had Barry's job.
So he's the president of Vice, is he?
Yeah. I think he had his head in the vice. It was earlier,
One
to
could
make sure
only
he told
hope.
the truth. Yeah.
One could
there you
only
go.
hope.
Maybe it's the future.
I keep saying you should turn everything upside down and back to front. You'll probably be nearer the truth.
I
Yeah.
stand upon that. So anyway, go ahead, Maggot.
Okay. The US is looking for new ways to address Gaza's humanitarian crisis amid... Yeah, I'm going to keep on calling
Sorry,
him
I'm trying not
Gaza.
to laugh. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Gaza's alcoholic crisis amid tensions over last week's deadly Israeli raid on a Gaza-bound aid ship. Gaza has AIDS. Vice President Joe Biden said the US was working with Egypt and other partners on fresh ways to address the humanitarian, economic, security and political aspects of the situation. He was speaking after talks in Egypt with Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak. Earlier, Israel's Navy killed 4 Palestinian divers off Gaza's coast.
They were fishermen. The divers were fishermen.
No, they were terrorists. Israel said so. They're terrorists.
They were, special sort of like SAS types, super soldiers.
Special forces disguised as 78-year-old men. Go ahead, keep reading.
Are they always?
So,
yeah, this is like you say about boring stuff. Okay, I'll just read it anyway. There have been growing calls for Israel to end its blockade of the Gaza Strip amid international condemnation of its commando raid on aid ships heading for Gaza, which killed 9 pro-Palestinian activists. After the raid, Mr. Mubarak ordered the Rafah crossing, Gaza's only overland crossing not controlled by Israel, to open for those Gazans needing medical attention, as well as Palestinians heading for studies abroad. Yes, Gazans. Like gazelles. I didn't know it was called gazelles.
Gazans, as in the people that stand on the top of hills and...
Yeah. Well, I think
I
think America should build from the port of Alexandria right through to Gaza a 6-lane highway each way.
They thought it would sort out their economy.
That should be the U.S. government's penance.
It's like another one of Don's invented word forms. They're like Gazans, like people we're staring at them being shot in the head. Where they're Gazans, you know.
What are you doing? I'm Gazans. Or gassing, gassing. The people
we're staring at them, they're
Gazans. Reports of Egypt suggest the authorities there are to keep the Rafah crossing open indefinitely, although largely for the transport of people rather than heavy cargo. A senior Egyptian security official said only humanitarian and medical aid is being allowed to enter Gaza. During their talks in the Red Sea resort of Sharm el Sheikh, Mr. Biden said he and Mr. Mubarak had discussed Israeli-Palestinian peace efforts, the conflicts in Afghanistan and Iraq, the political situation in Sudan, and Iran's controversial nuclear program. Sounds like they had a busy schedule there.
Why is Iran's nuclear program controversial in the first place? They've not contravened
because it threatens Israel?
Well, they've not contravened any of the provisions of the NPT.
Oh, no, that's not the point. It's too close to Israel.
All right, okay, yeah, it's and so was the Iraqi nuclear power plant. That was too close to Israel. And Syria,
and that's of course why we had to invade Iraq.
And that's why Syria was hit as well, because they had one very close. A pattern here, don't you think? A pattern? All right. But August, the Bashir nuclear plant opens in Iran. Unfortunately, to gain access and what have you to that installation with its Russian, its complement of Russian engineers and nuclear engineers and scientists, then wow, we could meet a small problem. Just a tiny one. Like the Russian nuclear umbrella over Iran. Could be a small problem.
Just a little one. Yeah. But only if you're pro-Israel.
And who isn't? We're all pro-Israel, right?
Woo! Do you have a social security number? You must be.
You are a slave of the New World Order.
Yay!
Pray for slavery.
Freedom and slavery. Slavery is freedom. It says 90-minute meeting.
Wow, that just hurt me all the way straight through the core. Thank you, Maggot.
Thank you. Took place in an atmosphere of heightened regional tension, currently in the aftermath of last week's raid at the BBC's Yoland Nell in Cairo. An Israeli government spokesman said no decision had yet been taken or an official government inquiry into the incident. On an official government inquiry into this incident, Israel had already rejected calls from the UN. Ring, 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 ring. Don't answer it. for an international commission of inquiry.
Rejected. Have you got a speech inside your pediment? Rejected.
Did I say rejected? Rejected. Had a bit of food. But a spokesman for Ban Ki-moon said no party had yet closed the door on UN Secretary General's proposal for an international investigation, saying the UN had not received any official response from either Turkey or Israel and remained committed to bringing together divergent news.
Well, that's a load of rubbish, because Turkey's made an official complaint to the UN Security Council. Because it is.
But that doesn't matter to anything.
Yeah, but actually, you see, Turkey is a temporary member of the UN Security Council at the moment.
Temporary.
Yeah, well, they rotate. They have a couple of temporary members, and then there's the permanent members. And they just
China, France, Britain, US,
Germany.
Yeah.
But then they just keep rotating a couple of other representatives from the rest of the nations, in and out, you know.
And that's why they're as pissed off as they are. Especially considering Iran's at the head of the UN Security Council's nuclear program. Which I think is just perfect. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay, Defense Minister Ehud Barak confirmed that there was an ongoing internal military investigation as a motion of no confidence in the government tabled by opposition lawmakers in the aftermath of the raid was defeated. Opposition leader Tzipi Livni accused the government of failing to take full responsibility for the botched raid. Well, Mr. Barak conceded it had not produced the result we wanted. He said Israel had to take extraordinary measures to protect itself from the threat posed by Hamas, Lebanese-based Hezbollah, and Iran.
I've never heard such garbage in my life. Where do you get?
Well, I've opened my mouth multiple times.
This is BBC.
Is this produced? Yeah, from Auntie Trash Can.
Yeah. There you go.
That guy is such an Ehud.
This is the Washington Post.
I thought the Washington Post was that big dick stood at the. They call it the Washington Monument. That's the Washington.
Oh, yeah.
Post, isn't it?
The Washington Post is owned by the Moonies.
The Moonies.
Seriously, you didn't know that? Yeah.
Well, that seems par for the course. Pretty fair.
Yeah.
I'm a Mooney.
This is all, the words of wisdom, I suppose, of Mr. Barak, isn't it? On the issue of easing Israel's blockade of Gaza to alleviate the humanitarian crisis there, he said there was only one person in the coastal enclave who needed humanitarian assistance, an indirect reference to the captured Israeli soldier Gilad Shalit.
Well, apart from their whole blockade is illegal under the 33rd article of the 4th Geneva Convention. Good grief. You know, and they're saying, oh, well, we can amend it, and we can do this, and we can do that. No, it's freaking illegal. Get rid of it.
But the senior Egyptian security official said Israel's blockade must be reviewed. Stern words. They had neither secured...
Reviewed? Must be removed.
Must be looked at.
He cocked that up. I think he cocked that up. Should be removed.
Yeah.
Not reviewed.
Yeah.
Must be a typo.
Must be a typo, yeah, because it definitely says reviewed, I know. As it had neither secured Mr. Shalit's release, nor stopped the smuggling trade along the Egyptian-Gaza border. The construction of an underground barrier designed to block off the smuggling tunnels was expected to be completed within months.
Meanwhile, it is a typo, isn't it? Israel will do whatever it wants to do, and that's the right thing to do. I think that was the correct... Yeah.
I think that's the subtext, yeah.
Yes, Biden's new policy stand. I'm the white guy working for a black guy saying we should make sure Israel's taken care of.
I agree with that. I am 100%, and I consent to that. Israel should be taken care of. We should.
Wait! That's not what I meant.
Yeah, we should offer as a care package a 5 megaton, I think, and detonated about 10,000 feet. That would do it.
That small?
Well, yeah,
really?
that would.
You think that's enough?
Well, yeah, because it's only a poxy little country, isn't it?
Yeah, but I'm just saying we should do 10 megaton and make
Oh,
the
you mean
Palestinians never get out.
overkill? A real overkill.
Well, and
No,
just
I mean,
make
this
sure that the
anti-is-
Palestinians, the Jordanians, and the Syrians know that they all need to, get out of there.
This anti-Israel stance is just not good enough, chaps. It really isn't. We shouldn't be anti-Israel. We unfortunately, the rest of the world is. So it does need one or two friends.
Antarctica and what else?
I think.
Top half of Finland, Greenland.
Can we appoint someone as Israel's fiduciary council?
The Vatican.
No, I suggest Lucifer.
Yeah. He's always present.
Lucifer already is. Okay, so Lucifer's Israel's friend, Antarctica's Israel's friend.
Well, that's two. That's two friends.
So we're done.
No. That's two friends. That's one too many.
Yeah.
Well, we'll take Antarctica back.
Yeah, but they can never keep a friend very long.
We'll
Two's
just take
company, two's crown.
Antarctica back.
So we formally withdraw the offer then.
No. Well, we're barely in a position to make the offer, so they haven't even heard it yet. We'll wait until they actually hear the offer.
We are actually broadcasting to anyone who cares to listen, unlike Mr. Obama, who's hiding it from everyone who's trying to find out.
I'm sorry, who?
Oh, sorry,
Barry?
Barry.
Oh, geez, Barry's got all kinds of problems. So anyway, go ahead and continue, Maggot. We'll try to wrap this up. We're about 5 minutes out.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Palestinian Authority leader Mahmoud Abbas was in Turkey for a regional security summit along with Iran and Syria. Mr. Abbas was expected to pay his respects to the 9 activists killed last week, 8 of whom were Turks and one a Jewish national of Turkish origin.
The whole thing is insulting because how come there's never been a mention of Cynthia McKinney, who did this first? And she was stopped by Israel too, but no cover.
Yeah. She got.
Well, I tell you what. Why don't we talk about that first thing tomorrow?
Okay. I mean, she even
started who Cynthia McKinney was or anything else, and we should make a note of it and talk about it tomorrow. Because we are kind of trying to wrap down to the end here, and I'm sure that's going to spark quite an awful lot of debate.
No, I don't think so, because all the rest of us know who Cynthia McKinney is.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Anyway, go on.
I've got like 5 more paragraphs to go through.
Go ahead.
The flotilla attack sparked global condemnation but defiance from Israel, which insisted it had the right to defend itself. Turkish Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan accused Israel of state terrorism called Gaza, a historic cause for Turkey. France and Britain, amongst others, have called for Israel to accept a credible and transparent investigation into the deadly Israeli raid on 31st of May. While the US... France and Britain, amongst others. It's just, it's listed amongst others, I think, yeah. While the US has said Israel's policy of blockading Gaza was unsustainable and needed to be changed. Gaza even. Israel's US ambassador Michael Oren has said the aid flotilla deaths should be investigated by an internal inquiry. Oh, yes.
Right. Let the Israelis patrol.
Decide. Let them decide. Yeah.
Let Dracula test all the blood in the blood bank. Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oops, that's good. Oops, that's good.
That's it. And Mr. Biden has previously defended what he said was Israel's absolute right to deal with its security interests.
Okay. The flotilla attack sparked.
So what about Gaza's absolute right?
Israel, which insisted it had the right to defend itself.
So do the Gazans. The Gazans have the absolute right to their security interests.
Well, but That's like my saying that I can go into the hood in Jackson and start shooting and killing people that could be guilty of quote-unquote criminal offenses just to make sure they never come to my house.
No, that doesn't mean that.
Well,
that means
they have a right to defend themselves against what? No one has fired any shots at them.
No. What it means is you could fly to Barcelona, Spain, and kill people there, and then fly back because they might come and attack your house.
Right, because they might cross the international waters to come and get just me.
Yeah.
Oh, fair enough. Good to know. Next time I go to Barcelona, I'll let you all know beforehand. Only if the Bilderberg conference is still there.
I honestly, I wasn't referring to the Bilderberg conference. Honest.
That just happened to be a side note. Just an accidental good thing.
Yeah, just by simple a slip of the tongue.
Freudian slip.
Yep.
And I even hesitate to use that term. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, everyone out there listening to us as we've been broadcasting, we have come to the end of another one of our shows. It's been a great Monday here on American Freeman. We are glad that you've listened to us. You can always get in touch with us and give us your thoughts, your concerns, your ideas by going to Keep Truth Free on Skype or Clark Lake Harry's on Skype. You can also download the archives of our podcast by going to www.tinyurl.com/WFS. That stands for World Freeman Society, WFS podcast, and listen to back shows as well as keep yourself up to date with the topics that we're going over. Anyone have anything else they want to add to this?
I'm the responsible party of Stratios Constantine Morades. You've heard Don Perry, the Caribbean Critic, Maggot, those are our hosts, and I'm the American CAO of the American chapter. So I'll be responsible party. I'll take us off the air. Don's the only guy in history that can make Tiny roll long.
I'm doing my best.
All right, let me take us off the air.
Thought a tiny URL was supposed to be small.
I know.
So glad I could find
www.tinyurl, he says.
What would you do if you didn't have me to laugh at?
I mean, you've got to say wobble you once.
Right, you obviously do.